Welcome, 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 everyone. This is another prototype episode of the Option Menu Crew podcast. I'm your host, Birch, and with me I've got returning guest Mike and our other friend Nate, all here to have a great conversation about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the Super Smash Bros. Series. So we're all pretty big fans of the series, and we were talking about, like what's coming up in the next rosters, playing online during the quarantine. And me and Mike got to talking about, what's it going to be like when, the next game eventually comes? And, you talk about what characters you like and don't like and who you want to see as DLC. And at the time of recording, we don't know about the other 5 characters in Season Pass 2. We only know that there is an ARMS character coming that will be announced and revealed in June. So with our discussion, we were just like, wouldn't it be fun to talk about if you were in charge of the inevitable reboot of Smash Brothers and you have to cut down this crazy cool Ultimate roster down to just like, a fraction of what it was, and you have to kind of start over. And we thought that was interesting. So we came up with some rules. The basic rules being that you can only have 25 returning characters, and then you have to pick 10 brand new characters. And this can include completely revamping an old character if you wanted to. It'd be like a significant change. And then how you would take the rest of the roster and put them into costumes, assist trophies, Pokeballs, completely delete. We're not talking about like DLC that gets into wish list discussing, and eventually it's just who do you want to see, and it's a circular thing, and everyone's talked that to death. So me, Mike, and Nate each made our own lists of what we want to see there, and then after we go through one by one, at the end we're going to talk about with the Super Smash Bros. Remix, what we'll call this reboot tentatively, hypothetically. We will discuss, what kind of features we want to see in Smash, what we like about the current Smash and old Smashes, what we want to see in the new one, how we'd want that new game to take shape. So as the discussion goes, I will start here. And I have a nice list here, and I just want to make sure you guys can see my list. Mike and Nate, you got my, you can see it now?
I cannot see it.
Neither can I.
Okay, give me just a sec. I probably got to start my screen sharing over again. No problem. We're trying to make this work on Google Hangouts. This is far from a perfect thing. It's kind of a new, and that's why it's a prototype. Is it showing now, guys?
Yeah, I can see it.
Excellent. Excellent. So starting off with my philosophy here, and the point was that basically you're taking over Sakurai. Sakurai said, I'm retiring. I leave it to you. You do have to deal with Nintendo's management, and these are the guidelines that they gave, but otherwise you can kind of play with the roster how you see fit, try to make the best decisions you could for the fans and for yourself. So I went in with that. And for me, Super Smash Brothers is a celebration of video games. So I don't make any recommendations, and I don't think about like Goku and other anime characters or cartoon characters. Like I stick to just the video games, and I respect that, and I think that's a good idea for the way Smash Brothers operates. Not saying that you guys can't do that, Mike and Nate, but for me, that's where I stuck. And so also I want to represent as many individual franchises as possible, and try to pick what I think is both the most popular and with a mix of what I believe like the audience will respond to, the wider fan base, and also inserting some of my own personal taste for the roster as it is an Ultimate, and how I would adjust Smash Brothers if I was given the chance to start fresh. So we'll start at the top here and talk about returning playable characters. First off, it was just obvious. You have to have the original 8. Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, Samus, Fox, Kirby, Yoshi, and Pikachu. Those guys just have to be in it. They've been in there from the start. And based on how Ultimate's initial roster started with those 8 and you had to unlock everyone else, it's pretty much guaranteed that it doesn't matter if these characters do and don't get new games. Like, that's the core Smash Brothers. And I felt the same way about Falcon, Ness, and Luigi. Luigi's not going anywhere. He's the player too. Nintendo loves Luigi and promoting him in ways. He's become very much his own unique character. So he's going to stay, and he'll probably get some tweaks there. Ness and Falcon, once again, their games may not really get any new iterations at this time, but they are emblematic in Smash Brothers, and they just need to be there. Also, they help me serve vehicles, some of my other aspects you can see on here, for incorporating some of those characters that aren't returning, at least in this first installment of what I would assume would be Smash Brothers Reboot series. So those people were there. Then I took the chance of sorting through who else are like mainstay faces and more popular franchises. So that's why Peach and Zelda, I think, just have to be there. They're just the second main representation. We need the diversity of the female roster. Got all the villains there. Bowser, Wario, DDD, all returning. We've got K. Rool and we've got Ridley. They're finally there, so definitely we need those villains there. Inklings will probably have a Splatoon 3 by the next Switch, which is probably when we get that next Smash Brothers. So Inklings got to be there. Animal Crossing, the new Animal Crossing is out. It's huge. They're definitely going to have that character. Shulk, the Xenoblade Chronicles remaster or remake, is coming out soon, and that's going to be a big deal. I'm sure the Xenoblade Chronicles series is going to carry forward. So Shulk's definitely going to be there, if not touched up a little bit, or some new Xenoblade Chronicle character. But I would bring Shulk forward because he's kind of becoming like the emblematic one for the series in terms of Smash Brothers, at least. And then I picked some returning third-party characters, ones that I figured would they were not only my personal favorites, but they would be money makers. They would sell to the people. So Banjo-Kazooie, we finally got Banjo-Kazooie in the game. We totally just have to have them. Them being part of the starting roster just makes a lot of sense. I think Nintendo and Microsoft are going to continue to work together, and my list kind of reflects this in some other choices that you probably noticed. Sonic, Sega and Nintendo have a great relationship. The Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games are there, and I personally believe that Nintendo and Sega are both super keen on the idea of Mario and Sonic being a game where they can fight each other. Mega Man, he's just emblematic of Capcom. Capcom and Nintendo have a really long series, a long relationship. I think it's just obvious that Mega Man's got to be there. And then Cloud. Cloud is just huge. He represents Final Fantasy, which is a long series with Nintendo. Cloud is the most popular Final Fantasy character to date. And with the Final Fantasy VII Remake project probably closing up closer in the future to when the next Smash Bros. Would come out, it would make sense to have him there and be like cross-marketing. And hopefully parts of the game would start getting ported to whatever the new Switch version is. So did you guys have any comments currently on my list or whatnot right now?
Yes. I agree with most of your list. I just feel like Shulk is like I've never played any of his games, so he seems one of the more out there characters.
Yeah, and to some degree, I think there needs to be some out there representation, kind of like how Rob, Game & Watch, Duck Hunt, they were all kind of, even though Duck Hunt's got a lot more notoriety, Nintendo kind of likes to keep certain things, especially representing series that are going to continue on in the future. And considering the effort they're putting into Xenoblade Chronicles, I think that will continue to be a series. And once they do make like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I assume that they will have another character representing in there. But for now, I would believe that Nintendo's management would want us to keep Shulk in there as a Xenoblade representative.
So one thing I noticed with your list is you don't have any Fire Emblem characters as playable returning. But what are your
That's
thoughts
right.
there?
That's right. That is segueing a little further into my brand new section there. I thought very deeply about Fire Emblem, and when I was texting you earlier about several tweaks I had to make, that was one where I was like, I had to rethink that several times, and I had the idea, and then I forgot, and then I remembered, and then I made my final list here. So, did you have any other comments about my returning playable characters?
I thought that the characters, you had to have like one returnable playing character that would play off of that costume. So like Mario with Dr. Mario, or like Marth with like Lucina, something like that. That was my interpretation on that. But you're saying any characters that are like, who would he be, or who would Marth be a costume for the returning characters?
Yeah, I will get to that. So
Okay.
that's fine. I'm gonna kind of bounce around here, but everything is in a specific order. I just kind of want to touch it. I hit each part. So
Okay.
I'll cycle down to brand new. Nate, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the returning playable characters from my list right now?
No.
Okay, cool. So now let me talk about my brand new characters. This is where we kind of had to play with the rules a little bit, and we talked about how, brand new could mean you're also going to rework these characters. Ganondorf is, for all intents and purposes, while they have put a lot of work to diversify him, he's still very much a clone of Captain Falcon. All his special moves are pretty much templated off of Captain Falcon, and his normals a little bit. He's just, a big, slow, heavy character with a lot of power. I don't believe in clones. I believe if you're going to put a character in, they got to be unique. They got to be completely unique. And if you're going to put the character in, either make them unique or make them a costume. So I want Ganondorf to be completely new. Ganondorf, it seems like there's going to be a brand new version of him in Breath of the Wild 2. So that sequel should be out by the time this game would come out. And so I think his new design would be more in line with that. Hopefully maybe some alternate costumes based on the previous looks, because we did have the Twilight Princess costume back in Brawl, and then they switched back to the Ocarina of Time style, which was both seen in Melee and in Ultimate. So I think that we could have probably a couple different costumes for Ganondorf from his different forms. There's also the Wind Waker Ganon, and I think a brand new Ganondorf that has moves referencing from all his different incarnations in a new Ganondorf. And who knows what he's gonna be like in Breath of the Wild 2. Hopefully it's him. If it's not him, then it might be, that might not be necessary. But then also Skyward Sword. There's the Spirit of Demise, who, is like the initial incarnation who gives birth to Ganondorf and in the future. So, there's all these different things we can draw upon. So I want to completely rework Ganon. And then Bayonetta. Bayonetta 3 is on its way to Switch now. And the way Bayonetta works currently is like her fundamental moveset. She has the guns on her hands and feet. She has her witch time. She has her dashes and combos. But she does so much more in Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2 as she can equip the different weapons and styles and different combinations on both her hands and feet. And who knows what new technique she's going to have in Bayonetta 3. So I think since this will be post-release of Bayonetta 3, it's time for Bayonetta to get an upgrade. She will be tweaked. She'll keep some of the new stuff, some of her old stuff, and then add some new special abilities or normals based on whatever new gear she gets in 3, plus any of the fun stuff from 2 and 1 that may not have been there before. Next up, it may be hard to see, and this character's not really out yet, but I was really impressed when Pokemon Sword and Shield's latest DLC show off was there with the new legendary Pokemon Urshifu. I was like, oh my god, that character looks so cool. It's actually a really cool design, and it's like a fighting type Pokemon. And I was like, I'm not really thrilled with how many Pokemon are in Smash, but if that character was a DLC character that new generation representation for Smash, I'd be super fine with it. So I think that would be a perfect new Pokemon. That's why I didn't bring Mewtwo over. At first I thought Pikachu and Mewtwo should be the returning characters. But then I'm like, no, let's drop Mewtwo for now. Save him for a sequel as a returning character, and let's do Urshifu as the second Pokemon representative in this brand new character. It's got the 2 fighting styles it can evolve into, so I figure maybe that could be part of its gameplay. Is during the game you could press down B or something like that to switch styles, and that changes its normals, it changes special attacks, and it could be these 2 kind of characters in one, kind of harkening back to the Zelda Sheik split. But it would be not switching characters, it'd just be its design is way more similar between the 2, and it would just almost be like a fighting stance thing. So I think that'd be really interesting. Then next, to address the Fire Emblem thing, because that was the part I forgot. I'm like, oh crap, I needed my Fire Emblem character, someone to return. But then I was like, oh wait, no, maybe I don't need a returning character, because we'll probably have a new Fire Emblem by then, and Smash Brothers will always have the newest Fire Emblem protagonist in it. Now there's no new Fire Emblem announced, and who knows when that's going to be. But I did think about who could represent all these previous characters, because I want them to just all be costumes. They're not good enough as that. And originally I thought Marth needs to return, but then I'm like, you know what? that sword archetype of Marth could be carried on in some way, and who knows what that next type of character is going to be, and they're kind of derivative. Although props to Nintendo for Byleth being very unique. But ultimately, I decided there'll probably be someone new, and it occurred to me, who else in Fire Emblem could appear here? And I remembered Fire Emblem Warriors. There's the male protagonist and the female protagonist who are brother and sister. They're not the same avatar like Robin and Corrin are. And I was like, oh crap, yeah, they go on this like kind of weird time crossing adventure, and they meet all the different Fire Emblem characters. And so they could be the new protagonists, and then we could just give them the costumes of the other characters or color schemes like that hearkening to these characters. And their moveset could be sort of like a weird amalgamation of the various characters, for at least from the ones you see featured in costume. So that's where I figured they would be there. And I believe their names are Luane for the guy and Liana for the girl. So that helps with the diversity because we'd still have the two male and female versions. And just like Olimar has Elf, and Elf actually gets like a different face, his name gets said by the announcer, like you could do the same thing here. And they would have basically the same moveset. I think they're sword and shield, so that would actually allow them to be Fire Emblem characters, but mixed up a little bit. So you'd have like sword attacks from Marth, but you could also mix in these shield attacks, and they could mimic attacks from like Ike. Lucina, Roy, and Chrom are basically all clones of Marth, with Chrom having a little bit of Ike mixed in. But I think that would, having that one character and then using those costumes would be the perfect representation for that. And I'll kind of explain my thinking on Byleth and Robin and Chrom, Robin and Corrin, a little bit later. The next up is the Ring Fit Trainer. The Ring Fit Trainer's design is just way more pronounced than Wii Fit trainers. And so with its current and more modern popularity, and with it having an actual battle system built in, there's just so much more to work with. So I think that is going to replace Wii Fit Trainer, Ring Fit Trainer. And then the Wii Fit Trainer would be a costume to Ring Fit Trainer. And so that was my solution to that. Makes the most sense. Then Paper Mario. I've been hoping for a Paper Mario character for a while. I would have been interested in Count Bleck and having more villains, because Smash Brothers does have a low villain representation. It's mostly heroes. But I knew Nintendo would never do a antagonist for a series before a star hero of a game. So Paper Mario it is. He's another version of Mario. Since I don't have Game & Watch playable up there, I figured that 2D aesthetic would be there. And there's such a big well of moves for him to pick from, the sticker star, the various things. I was thinking probably his playstyle would use the various companions. And so maybe each of his different companions would be one of the special buttons, while his neutral would be like the hammer and other things like that. I think he could be a very diverse character. He would be visually distinct from regular Mario. He would have a very unique moveset from Mario. And I think there's a lot of creativity there. Plus, just Nintendo's going to push its first-party stuff. And there's the rumored new Paper Mario game that should be coming up, that's hopefully being announced during this E3 time. So we'll see about that, and I think that would make perfect sense to kind of tie him in. And once again, very well, a lot of these characters could end up being part of the DLC pack. We're going without knowing anything about that other than the One Arms character. So a lot of this could be outdated real quickly. But for now, this is our fun speculation. Next up, characters, the Akira twins from the game Astral Chain that was co-developed with Nintendo and Platinum. So whether or not Platinum's going to come back and do a sequel to them, it's not really clear. But I could see Nintendo pushing this series forward. On top of that, the play style of Akira is that they have the Legion. And in the actual game, you're kind of controlling two characters at once. Smash Brothers is not a stranger to that kind of concept with Ice Climbers and Rosalina and Luma. And while I'm kind of taking those two out of the game, I think they can kind of make up for that in this new character, Akira, representing a new kind of semi-obscure franchise, hopefully pushing for a sequel that'll come out, for the next Switch, and that would serve as good cross promotion. And once again, we have the male and female versions, so that once again helps with the diversity in what you've seen in the previous things. Ring Fit Trainer also has a male and female version, so once again, those kind of things, I'm really leaning into that to help keep the diversity up. I think you could have a really interesting character there, and it would just be another really cool character. I think it'll be very visually striking when it's on the screen. Then I knew I needed to add in some more Western characters, some indie characters, and that's when I started thinking, all right, who is good third-party DLC? Or not DLC, but who is good new third-party representation to complement what we've already got here, but expand the scope? And the first thing that came to mind was actually the character Cadence from Cadence of Hyrule, the crossover, and representing the indie series Crypt of the Necrodancer. I haven't played those games, but I know they are rhythm-based games, and I'm really interested in playing Cadence of Hyrule. And so I hope to play that in the future, and I'll probably check out Crypt of the Necrodancer in the future as well, just to see how the two compare and whatnot. I'm not very familiar with Cadence's moveset, but when I saw that her main weapon was a shovel, or at least her main tool is a shovel in the options there, I thought, oh, this makes a lot of sense here. I originally thought Shovel Knight. Like, Shovel Knight is such a Nintendo retro throwback, so why not? And he's already an assist trophy. Let's upgrade him. But Shovel Knight hasn't actually worked directly with Nintendo as far as I know. I know they do have the amiibos, so I'm a little wrong on that point. But Cadence, like, an actual game has been made. Zelda and Link are in there, and you can play as them. This already has a really good standing relationship with an indie developer, and I could see Cadence being brought in. It's a new female character. She's got the shovel, so we could add in like a Shovel Knight crossover costume or color scheme, and that kind of all works together. So that'd be a good, sensible addition to this. Then next up, going to Microsoft again, Minecraft Steve. I really hope Minecraft Steve makes it into Ultimate, but if he doesn't, or it doesn't, I should say, it's just a no-brainer. Minecraft is such a good fit for Nintendo's aesthetic. There's such a wide range of moves to pick from the like signature weapons of like the pickaxe and the sword, the diamond sword, and the armor, all the different customization options for costumes and color schemes. It being able to look male or female or anything adds that all the diversity. And then the stage would be, incredible as well. I could just see it now. I just think it's just a super good fit for Smash Brothers to have Minecraft Steve. And then finally, Rabbids. Once again, Ubisoft has kind of worked with it. People have been screaming for Rayman, but the Rabbids have basically become their own series and their own IP in and of itself. So I think they are at this point kind of seen as standalone. I mean, when Nintendo worked with Ubisoft, they made Mario and Rabbids. They didn't do Mario and Rayman with Rabbids. So once again, lots of different costume ideas. They can use lots of different weapons. I was looking, they have a whole bunch of different stuff. They do wacky, funny things. I guess the humor is debatable based on your own taste, but there's a lot of creativity that they can add there. They've already worked with Nintendo. It's already paired up with Mario characters. So I think it just makes sense that Rabbids would be picked for this thing to kind of cement that relationship there for brand new. And with this total 35 starting roster, which is, I believe, the same size as like Smash Brothers Brawl, I think this right here would be a good starting roster that would get a lot of people excited, make a lot of sense for Nintendo as well.
It looks like you have a great start there. I think that's pretty sweet that you have the Ring Fit Adventure character. Like, that's something I never would have expected or even thought of, honestly.
What would be the Ring Fit trainer's moveset?
I haven't played Ring Fit, but I've seen some videos, and I know there's all the different attacks because it's like an RPG-style battle system. You just have to do the exercises to go through. I know there's like the air blast that you can do as a special. I know there's like the double jump you can do with the hoop. There's all sorts of other like exercise-type attacks, and I haven't seen all of the different special abilities she can do, or they can do, I should say. But yeah, if you'll watch some gameplay of the various Ring Fit stuff, you could easily see what they could do for a moveset there.
For Paper Mario, what were you thinking for his moveset? I'm curious.
As I mentioned before, there's a couple different ways they could go, because like there's the sticker star, There's all sorts of different abilities. And I was even thinking maybe because of the way, Paper Mario 1 and Thousand Year Door played, how you have like the one teammate with you. Maybe that's how his specials work. And each special is actually one of his teammates jumping out and making a cameo and doing one of their assistive attacks. And then Mario would just have his normals for his own unique abilities.
Do you think that he should have his hammer?
Totally. That would probably be like smash attacks or some of like the tilt normals.
Yeah, I think so.
Any other comments currently on like my playable cast here? Let me phrase the question this way. If this was the opening cast, like you'd seen all the directs and all the announcements and you knew these were the characters that were going to be in it, how would you guys feel for the playable side? How would you feel about it? Would you be buying it? Would you be pre-ordering it? Would you be dreading it? Just that kind of overall impression.
Well, I would be. Oh, go ahead, Nate.
I definitely would try it out. I do like those new characters like the Astro Chain, Paper Mario, Ring Fit. I would really be interested to see how they would play. I also like the idea of Bayonetta rework.
Awesome.
For Ganondorf and Bayonetta, I would kind of feel gypped. Kind of. I don't know. Like they're like, oh, these are brand new characters. I mean, I know they're like totally being reworked, but like I'd be like 10 new characters and you're just putting in, not that I did a similar thing, so I probably shouldn't say anything, but
no, that's okay though. But I mean, if you're like disappointed that it's Ganondorf and Bayonetta rather than brand new faces, that makes sense. Like you can say that.
And the Fire Emblem thing makes total sense. New Pokemon makes a lot of sense as well. Rapids, that's just like that's unique, wacky character. And Minecraft Steve. Wasn't that like the big rumor for the previous game? Wasn't that, or the current game that we're playing now? Isn't
There were several big rumors. Who knows? There's no real information that I'm aware of that really substantiates it. Or it could have been a matter of kind of similar to like what the story came out, or I guess I shouldn't say it's a story. It's more conjecture. But the news that came out about Sora is that Nintendo approached Disney about it, and it was Disney Japan who supposedly vetoed the idea of doing that. I think the only concrete thing about that news is like definitively Nintendo approached Disney about including Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but the deal didn't go through, and then the rest might be complete conjecture.
Why you didn't put Sora?
Sorta. I just think there's better characters to include than Sora. I'm not against his inclusion if it happens. He's not even my dream character. I would prefer a different character from Kingdom Hearts. I would prefer Aqua, honestly, both for the representation. Also, I just think she's a much more interesting character. But I wouldn't be against the idea of a Kingdom Hearts character. I just don't set my hopes on it because I think it would be a huge long shot for Disney to do that. And of course, I think you'd hear a lot of people go, "Oh my God, if they're putting in a Kingdom Hearts character, why isn't it Mickey Mouse?" Based on what we said earlier, Mickey Mouse is not from video games. He is a different media character. So even though he is strongly featured in it, it just creates a weird conflict of expectation there. So I just don't have my heart set on it.
What would be interesting is a Disney type Smash game.
Oh man, yeah, but I think it would have to be something more comedic. It wouldn't be like direct fighting, but I wouldn't be surprised if Disney consider. Oh wait, they do have that mobile game that's being advertised at like Magic something or other.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
I forget the name. It's like Magic Kingdom or something like that, or Sorcerer something. It's literally like a mobile RPG where you just recruit Disney characters for an RPG battle party.
You've got Star Wars, Marvel, and then you've got all the classic Disney characters. So I'm
just quickly Googling it right now. Disney's new mobile RPG game, Disney Sorcerer's Arena. It's coming up soon. And yeah, it seems like they're just making their own mobile RPG game where you can crisscross all the characters. And it's official. It's not, it's going to mix Disney and Pixar characters together. RPG, action packs, RPG. Yeah. Disney's kind of already doing that, just not technically the way we want it to.
Interesting.
Which is kind of how things work out these days. So, so let me just go over the costumes and the other categories here quickly, because a lot of that just files into why I chose some of the characters, how it fits, and where my head's at. Dr. Mario just clearly should have been a costume from the start. So to respect that character no longer as a clone, like it would be, I know some people are like, I hate the flood. I prefer the spin. I'm like, the spin's still there. It's the down A aerial. And I know that's not as convenient as the other ones, but Luigi still has the down B spin. That's his now. Just deal with it. Dr. Mario should have just been a costume. Mario has a bunch of different costumes now. He's got the Mario Maker costume. He's got, I think there's one more. I know there's the Star Spangled Mario. It's perfect to just have Dr. Mario as a costume. And even with this new game, like we can make it so that it's still kind of like when he throws the fireballs, they're the pills. And then you just make the fireballs and the pill properties exactly the same. It's just a visual change, which is kind of what they already did for some of the other characters that they put as like echoes in Ultimate. So they just decided to make them their own character slot and tweak things a little bit. So that's how I feel about Dr. Mario. Very similar about Daisy. And this is one of those things where Daisy should be her own character. Like, give her unique moves. But they just literally made her a carbon copy of Peach minus like a little bit of frame data. That's not even significant, but everything else is exactly the same with some palette swaps. So easily she would just be a costume. And while Rosalina is really cool, I think definitely for now she just had to be a costume to Peach, and we could bring her back in the Super Smash Brothers Remix 2 and rework her a little bit, because I think the Luma thing is a little strange in my personal opinion. But if I was a director, maybe I'd be more akin to keeping that character the same. I don't really have any problems with Rosalina. I just don't really enjoy playing her, but I know there's people who love playing as her and have managed to do really well. So, but yeah, I think for now she would just be an alternate costume for Peach. And as I discussed, Marth, Ike, Lucina, Roy, Chrom, we're just kind of moving on, and we'll just make them alternate costumes to the Fire Emblem Warriors characters who meet them and talk with them in the game. So it just makes sense to just have them there as either color schemes or alternate costumes, and the characters can just emulate them. Dark Samus, if she's not a character, if she's not going to have her own full unique moveset, then she's just a costume to Samus, which is what she is. And we can just keep all the same like model swaps on like the missile and her battle effects and things without any of like the weird floaty or property changes. And I still think that's good enough. And I'm a Samus player, so that to me is completely fine. If you're not going to make her own unique character, then not. And hopefully in the sequel, I would make Dark Samus actually have unique moveset. Zero Suit Samus, kind of same thing. I love Zero Suit Samus. I want to play as her. And I love that she's different than Samus, but if I have to do this game, like, it's got to be Varia Suit Samus, and Zero Suit would just kind of be like a weird modded costume. So it'd be like she doesn't have her helmet. You can see the Zero Suit. Maybe she just has the leg armor. Like, it's kind of battle damaged, So she still has the gun on her, the blaster gun on her arm, with some of the armor just kind of falling off, and you got the blue suit underneath with her her hair out and everything. As like an alternate costume there. I think that would be suitable for the time being till the sequel, where we could make her own character again. Lucas, barring any new information where they actually like release Mother 3 or create like a Mother trilogy and put everything out, Lucas just got to make him an alternate costume to Ness. Ness is much more recognizable. And, even though Lucas's moves are different, he's still very clonish. So I would just make him a costume. With Isabelle, similar thing here for Animal Crossing Villager. I would make her one of the alternate costumes, and I would take her like moveset and mix it with the villagers and kind of make this slightly newer character. So like she can bury the Lloyd rocket in the ground. So I would make it so there'd be an additional input, because like right now with Villager, you can summon the Lloyd rocket and you don't have to ride it, but you can jump on it and you can ride it, or you can just let it go on its own and you can control the villager separately. So I just make it so it's a different input. So you can summon the Lloyd rocket, press a certain button to ride it, and then press a different button to bury it. So you'd summon it and bury it again. Her fishing rod, which is essentially a grab, I would change it so instead of the villager's net being the grab animation, you would use the fishing rod, so it could also be a tether recovery as well and a tether grab, make it shorter, and then I would take the net and I'd change it to, for the neutral B, his pocket ability. So you'd use the net to capture whatever's being thrown at you. So it gives it a little extra reach. It gives it a new fun animation. And then so she could still be an alternate costume, but their move sets are now mixed together. So it's like they're one character on top of all the different other villager styles. Then for Falco, same thing. he has been changed up a fair amount from Fox, but he's still very cloney to me. So I would make it so their movesets were mixed and their properties were more balanced to meet somewhere in the middle. So like with the shield, like you can hold the button and Fox will hold his reflector, and if you press a direction or do something, then he can kick it out. So that way, when you're playing Falco, you could do your reflector kick. With the blaster, if you rapidly tap B with Fox, it fires like Fox does, and if you hold it, it does like the charge shot. That's similar to like the way Falcos work. So I just mix together their move styles, and then just make them alternate costumes and similar to Olimar and Elf. Like the announcer will say Fox or Falco, and it would be considered different. Little Mac. While I really would like Little Mac to be there representing Punch-Out, and who knows, maybe they'll do another Punch-Out and we'll get another protagonist that's a little different. But with his style, they've kind of hit a brick wall where he's this really fast, really strong ground fighter, but he just sucks in the air. And I get that's supposed to be like an interesting balance, but it's kind of kept him from being too viable when it comes to higher level play. And once he's off the stage, he's just screwed. He's little, so he's lighter. He's he's somewhere between like this weird stocky heaviness and lightness. But yeah, once he's off the stage, even though they've made tweaks to make it easier for him to get back, he's still screwed. And Smash Brothers is a very aerial based game. So I would take Little Mac and I would just make him a costume to Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon's very much a puncher. He doesn't have any projectiles. And while he does do some kicks and stuff like that, I think it's completely fine to have Little Mac on that as like a nice little homage thing. And then Young Link and Toon Link, you could just have costumes to standard Link that look like them, not changing the height, but just kind of mimicking their tunics and their cell shading style of Toon Link on there for alternate costumes. I think that'd be fine. Or that'd be acceptable for me until we could do something different with them. Because I wouldn't mind bringing them back. But once again, not as clones, unique movesets, change it up more based on the games they're in. Because Young Link has both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask to draw from, and Toon Link with Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and what was the other? Spirit Tracks. There's a bunch of different unique items and things they could draw from while keeping like the same sword and shield based stuff for normals, and just they could make their special moves completely different for all three of these types of Links. Meta Knight, I'd make him a costume to Kirby. For right now, I don't really see a good way to mix their moveset, and I'm not too familiar with the Kirby games, but I think it would just be a good costume for now, and then bring Meta Knight back for the sequel. And I already explained Wii Fit Trainer would just be an alternate costume to Ring Fit Trainer, and wouldn't really see them mixing their moveset, but I don't know how much Ring Fit Trainer's moveset in the game draws from anything we've seen from Wii Fit Trainer and Smash. It just makes sense. It's really easy to see that there, and it seems like a really obvious conclusion to go with the Ring Fit Trainer, who's newer, got this more colorful design, much more fresh, and just kind of is like a straight up new reimagining of the Wii Fit Trainer. Then with the assist trophies and Pokeballs, I pretty much took all the other Pokemon and just threw them in the Pokeballs because a lot of them could translate easily to Pokemon. I also put the Pokemon Trainer as an assist trophy because he could be like a random assist trophy where the Pokemon Trainer shows up, could be male or female, it doesn't really matter, and he throws out 3 Pokemon and they all do special moves or things like that. I know Jigglypuff was part of the original, but personally, if I had to pick, like Jigglypuff's just not as unique or interesting as the others. And certainly in sequels, obviously, we'd bring some of these Pokemon back and update them or bring them back faithfully. Either way, the Mii Fighters, as much as I think the Mii Fighters are cool, they just don't get taken seriously by Nintendo. I don't even know if you can play as them in random online. Obviously, we can play as them in private matches, but I can't remember if you can play them in random online. Do either of you guys know?
No.
I have no idea, honestly.
Okay. And they don't get a lot of play they don't get a lot of visibility in general. So I think just turning the Miis into an assist trophy thing and they come out and they do it wouldn't even be like necessarily the Mii Fighters and stuff like that. It would just be Miis would be an assist trophy that come out and do some stuff. Piranha Plant, I always thought that was an assist trophy level character. Sure, it's a decent playable character now, but it should have always been a assist trophy. Duck Hunt and the assist trophy is just so easy to see there is that and I'm trying to remember now if they actually had this before, but the ducks would fly around on the screen, there'd be the player shooting, and if you got caught in any of the reticles, it would hurt you. If the ducks hit you, it hurts you, and then after everything's done and shot, then the duck the dog pops up, does his laugh, and then goes away. Olimar, his final smash would pretty much just be his assist trophy without the camera change, though. Or maybe with the camera change, because they do mess with the camera change for some of the assist trophies. I could see that being there. Same thing with Bowser Jr. and Diddy Kong. For a lot of these characters, just taking their final smashes and using it as their assist trophy, I could see that, easily 1-to-1 there. And a lot of these characters we'd plan on bringing back for the sequel. They'd just be here to cameo and kind of be placeholders. So they're worked on a little bit while we get them ready for more. I really struggled with taking out Pit from the main roster. But for now, they're not doing any new Kid Icarus games. They're not remaking Kid Icarus Uprising, despite how much I'd love them to do it. I think for now, there's other characters that are much more influential, much more popular, that are going to get people to buy the game again, and he can be saved for coming back later. Dark Pit, always just been a palette swap. Let him be an assist trophy if he's not going to be a real character. Palutena, I love playing as Palutena, so this kind of sucks, but I think her final smash should be a decent assist trophy. Bring her back in the next game. Ice Climbers, same thing. I don't play as Ice Climbers, but their final smash is a great assist trophy move. Bring them back for the next game, and right now, you could get kind of a substitute for them with the Astral Chain characters, Akira, since you'd have the two character dynamic there. Sheik, I know Sheik is super popular, but I could easily see Sheik doing some ninja stuff. Pops in with the assist trophy, pops in, does a few attacks here and there, smoke bombs out. Very simple. Bring her back for the next game. Wolf, I wouldn't use his final smash. I do what I would imagine would be a unique thing where you see him call in the classic Star Fox window, hit the Star Fox or the Star Wolf ships, fly in, do 3 sweeps around the side, so if they from the sides of the screen and just go across horizontally. They hit any person that's any characters that are on the screen, and then at the end they fly through the background or through the foreground into the background, do a bomb drop on the stage, and deal damage that way. Great assist trophy. Not exactly sure what I do for Rob with his assist trophy, but that we'd figure it out. Explain the Pokemon Trainer. Game & Watch, you have all the different references from the different games. There's the stage for Game & Watch that has a lot of different attacks and stuff like that happen in hazards. So super easy translation there. Byleth, a couple different ways you could go with that. You summon in Byleth, and either Byleth does a different move with their different weapons, or perhaps you make a cameo from the other 3 houses characters, and Byleth summons in and instructs one of the other head house characters to come in, does a special attack, and that's the assist trophy. Pac-Man's final smash also look good. You could also do a bunch of different weird stuff with Pac-Man moving around. Oh, there was the ghosts already. So yeah, you could have Pac-Man chasing the ghost and not just the ghost flying around. So that'd be pretty neat. For Hero, I struggle with that. I'm like, oh, should I bring in the Final Fantasy character or the Dragon Quest character? And while Dragon Quest is definitely super big in Japan, Cloud got in first because Cloud has more recognizability in the East and the West. So the hero, since there is the 11 heroes and probably even a 12th one by the time this game would theoretically come out, or hypothetically, I should say, the assist trophy would summon in randomly one of the 11 heroes would show up, kind of like his down B, where the menu would show up. It would rotate between 4 options, and then he'd do the spell and then disappear. So I think that'd be really cool. Simon, he'd be another alternate assist trophy because we already have Alucard in there, which I was really surprised that Alucard wasn't the playable character, but I get that Simon is the historical character. So I think Simon would come in and do his final smash as well. Snake, very similar as well, do his final smash. He comes in, he says, I need backup. And he locks onto the characters, shoots the missiles, and then flies out. Ryu comes in, does a couple of moves, and maybe if he catches a character in a combo every once in a while, he'd randomly do one of his supers, his Super Shoryuken or Super Hadouken. I apologize for not knowing the official names for them. But yeah, I could see him and hopefully bring back some of these characters as well. I'm totally interested in bringing them back in the sequel, but for now, they'd at least be cameoing. And then the ARMS character, just calling it right now, I don't know how popular that ARMS character is going to be, but currently the ARMS game isn't super popular, so it would just become an assist trophy again, and then possibly brought back later. And then just to finalize my list here, deleted. Corrin and Robin, I love both of those characters, so it really sucks to say they were to delete them, but could always bring them back in a different game. Don't think we need the extra Fire Emblem representation in the assist trophies. There's a character, I think her name's Tiki, and she shows up, she's a Fire Emblem character, turns into a dragon, breathes fire on the on the stage. Corrin does dragon transformation thing, even though Corrin's looks cooler in my opinion for a dragon style. It's just kind of a bit much, bit extra to repeat these things. And with Robin just basically being a battle mage, I think that they wouldn't be very interesting assist trophies. And I don't think their entries in Fire Emblem are all that popular. I think Robin's might be pretty popular. I think that's the one that really got people like talking in the US when it came out on 3DS. But I can't remember exactly. But even then, Robin's not really a character they talk too much about, or at least from the memes I've seen of Fire Emblem, Robin doesn't make too much of a splash. So for those two, I was like, okay, we'll just move these. We have Fire Emblem characters. We're representing a bunch of them. And of course, we'd probably have a new Fire Emblem character by then, if not the Warriors. But yeah, this is kind of my way of condensing it down and trying to reduce the Fire Emblem saturation in Smash Brothers. Terry Bogard, I think he plays exceptionally well in Ultimate, but he just doesn't have the notoriety to hang in there. And I think we'd renegotiate with SNK to get a different character at some point. Not Terry. Maybe bring him back at another time, but maybe shake it up. There's other SNK characters that could be coming in. Richter, same thing. I think we've got enough Castlevania stuff. I don't believe he's the more popular one. He's kind of just the anime alternate to Simon. So while, that appeals more to some people, and granted, I'm an anime fan myself, I still think Simon's more iconic. His name's a little more synonymous with it, and you already have Alucard, who, like I said, I think he should have been the character, but Alucard, I guess, is more PlayStation-oriented because Symphony of the Night came out on PlayStation rather than Nintendo. Persona, Joker, I think, we'll probably have a new Persona announced by then. There is the Persona 5 Scramble that's still coming up for Switch, but I think by the time, hypothetically, this would be coming out, we could get another type of Persona character or a new protagonist. And Atlas is owned by Sega, so the conversation's open, the relationship's there, and they could always bring in someone new. And we could always probably bring Joker back later. And then finally with Ken, I'm deleting Ken because I don't think he needs to be there as an assist trophy. I know I could have done like the random gimmick, but even though I think he plays better than Ryu is the more iconic Street Fighter character, kind of going with that. And so I think I'd have to drop Ken for now and, maybe make him guest DLC or something down the road or later in the sequel, hopefully building back up to Super Smash Brothers Remix Ultimate, where we have everyone is here all over again. So that's what I went for with this roster. I think it makes a lot of sense. It gives me a little bit of what I want while also trying to appeal also to, as I understand, the Smash Brothers fan base for now, with also giving us a bunch of new stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, overall, I think you have most of the iconic characters as playable returning. So I don't think that, I think that you have a pretty good list here overall. Little Mac, yeah, I don't see how that really fits with Captain Falcon.
Well, I was going with the fact that Captain Falcon doesn't have like any projectiles or anything. He's pretty much a melee fighting character, just like Little Mac. So it would kind of be like a nice little way of having Little Mac there, but making him more of a more playable character.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess he could fit. I don't know. Maybe not for Kirby Meta Knight.
Yeah, I know that's pretty disappointing, but I'm like, they're similar enough that you could, obviously it's easy to make them to make Meta Knight a costume on Kirby.
What would you do with the copy ability though? Like how would
you'd still have the hat. It would be the hat, The hat would be over the mask. That's all it is. Or you'd have them, like, it'd be a mask, and you'd still just see the hat on top or whatever the wig was that Kirby was wearing. It looked extremely silly,
like,
but
if you were playing as Meta Knight, what would you use what would your attack be instead of would you have a different attack instead of sucking people in, or what would?
No. Alternate costumes don't have alternate attacks. They're just costumes.
That's what I'm wondering how that would look with Kirby.
Oh, it would look absolutely silly. You'd suck him through the mask. I'd let that happen. I just think that'd be super funny.
Okay.
or maybe there'd be a special animation when you're wearing the mask where the mask would fly up over Kirby's head while he's inhaling, and then it would come back down.
Okay.
So could do something goofy like that. But I honestly think it'd be, it's just more funny to let it clip through the mask. But yeah, I could get silly with it.
But yeah, overall, I think you have a pretty good list here.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like your diversity of characters. I like the slimming down of the Fire Emblem roster.
Yeah, it really hurt me to cut out the two characters that I actually enjoy, but I was like, it just kind of makes the most sense. I also toyed with having Cloud rearranged in the brand new playable to make him more of like a battle mage, like the way Robin and Hero worked. Because now that those two aren't playable, that gives him Cloud a chance to like use magic with his sword while still having some of his limit break moves. The way I ended up deciding on this roster, I thought it was more important to have because we're getting a new Pokemon. We have to have a new Fire Emblem character. Like it just has to happen.
But this is a totally new Smash. This is like new director and stuff. You wouldn't have to have.
Oh no. Well, I was saying before with my philosophy, I was assuming I still have to get these ideas past Nintendo's management.
Oh yeah.
So they would tell you, no, Fire Emblem is one of our biggest money-making series, dummy. You have to include a Fire Emblem character, and I'm like, yeah, I know. So
like, if you don't do this, like, you'll be fired as the director and replaced by.
Basically. Or they'd make it like a super difficult thing. So, like I said, I was erring more on the side. Like I was trying to find this balance between realism and how would I make the realistic thing the most interesting thing to me if I was the director, because that's hypothetically that's what I'd have to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of found that happy medium in my hypothetical situation.
Cool.
All right then. Yeah, I don't know if you got any other comments, but then Mike can go up next, and I'll take mine off the screen, and then Mike throw yours up.
Okay.
All right, take it away.
All right, so this is my list here. So for the characters that would be returning, first up I had Mario, and I thought for Mario, like to change up his move. I know in the past, like I've heard people talk about how the cappy hat from Odyssey could be in there somehow, and you could use that to like transform. Maybe not exactly like Kirby, but like it's a different kind of transformation. I don't know what. And then obviously I'd get rid of the water, the be down. I don't like that.
I'd be totally cool with the down B being replaced with Cappy, and like you throw Cappy onto one of your opponent's characters, and then you get to control them for a bit. I could see that being super abusable though, because people just walk them off the edge to just take the KO. But maybe it is if you walk them off the edge, you lose a stock as well. So maybe that's the balancing. But yeah, I totally agree. I think Cappy over the water gun would be acceptable in my regard.
Okay, cool. So for the costumes for Mario, I picked Dr. Mario, Paper Mario, and Metal Mario. I know Virtue had Paper Mario as a completely new character, but I just threw him on as a skin because I thought it would be a fun to get him in the game without making him a new character, essentially. And then for number 2, I had Donkey Kong. Costumes were Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong. I guess I wasn't sticking to the whole like size thing like you were sticking with they have to be the same size. I'm just saying, they have the same moves, but I just asked that, or they just look different. I don't know if that creates an issue with balancing. Probably does. So for number 3, I chose Link, and the costumes for that, I chose Young Link and Toon Link and Breath of the Wild Link, and I would have the normal Link. And then for number 4, I chose Samus, and I actually to get Zero Suit Samus back in the game, I did a transformation like in Brawl, but not using the Smash Ball, just like something that you could do on the fly, that maybe be down or whatever to replace the bombs. You just switch to Zero Suit Samus. Costumes, Dark Samus. For number 5, I had Pokemon Trainer. And for this one, I had 3 sets of different Pokemon, including Pikachu and Mewtwo. So like I didn't stick with the all the original characters, kind of, because I don't just have Pikachu. You'd be able to switch between all these different Pokemon.
Do you mean like you'd have 9 unique Pokemon, like, or would you mean like you're switch between Pikachu, Mewtwo, and a third?
So yeah, I mean 9, but you don't have 9 choices. Like each one has 3 choices. So like they're just costume changes. But similar type Pokemon maybe. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I haven't thought that deeply. For number 6, Yoshi with Yarn Yoshi and Clay Yoshi. I don't even know if Clay Yoshi is a character, but I think it is.
I think there's like 2 different yarn. Well, I think there is a difference between
there's like a
Yoshi's Woolly
different
World.
looking Yoshi that's kind of like
Yeah.
clayish, but
Yeah.
and then for Kirby, Yarn Kirby, because you've got Yarn Yoshi as a costume. For number 8, I chose Fox with costumes of Falco, Wolf, and Slippy and Peppy, all of them having similar type attacks. You know, all the same attacks, but just different costume. And number 9, I picked Ness with the costume. The obvious choice is Lucas. For number 10, I've got Captain Falcon. So essentially, besides Pikachu, I have all the original characters returning, and Pikachu is sort of number 11. I've got Rosalina and Luma. I thought she was a unique character, and then I've got number 12. I've got Bowser, and for costumes, I chose Dry Bowser, and another transformation type thing. I've got Giga Bowser. So like the Bowser that you've got to play around with in Brawl, kind of, but being able to transform into that at will. Maybe not as powerful, obviously, but something to change up the game. And I've got Zelda transforms into Sheik, and I've got costume Toon Zelda. For number 14, I've got Fire Emblem characters coming back. So I've got Roy and the costumes of Marth, Lucina, and Crom, because those are all the most similar to me. And
Well, that's interesting that you'd make Roy the primary. Okay.
yeah, to me, he's the most unique because he's got the fire as opposed to just a regular sword. And then for 15, I've got Ganondorf, and the costumes I've got is Toon Ganon, and I also put down a transformation into the boar, the beast.
Yeah, that's just Ganon. They just call the beast form Ganon.
Yeah, beast form.
Ganondorf human.
So I think that would be cool. And then I've got 16. I've got the villains too, just like you did, Birch. I've got King K. Rool for 16. And then I've got Pit, costume, Dark Pit, obviously. I've got Sonic, and for costumes, I got Golden Sonic and Shadow, because Shadow is basically the same as Sonic, but I don't really know I don't think he has any moves that are different.
Shadow could have his own move set. There's definitely room for that, but in general, they share a lot of the similarities. I would agree that he'd be fair as a costume.
Okay, sorry about that.
And Golden Sonic would be it's cool. That's cool. And then Golden Sonic is Super Sonic, and yeah, I definitely think the design looks cool. Yeah, I think it'd be a little weird for it to be non-Final Smashy because he's supposed to be invincible when he's super. But I'd appreciate it as costume.
Yeah, that would be sweet. For 19, I've got Villager, and costume as Isabelle, and her moveset will have to be changed up a bit. For number 20, I've got Inkling, just a unique character from a unique game. For 21, I've got Ridley, costume Metal Ridley. For number 22, I've got Peach with the costume Daisy. For number 23, Banjo, one of my favorite characters that they added recently. So I definitely want them to keep him. And then Ryu, because he's like fighting type character, and costume I put as Ken. And for 25, Simon with a costume Richter. So those are all the returning characters that I would choose. Do you guys have any questions or concerns?
No, I definitely think it's interesting that you took some more liberties with like the transformations and bringing the transformation back. I personally prefer them being like separate characters. It just makes things, in my opinion, a little bit simpler. So, do you like actually miss transformations from like the Brawl and Melee days?
Yeah, I thought those were cool. I thought it was cool that you could switch into Sheik. So yeah, I would go for it, or I would be
Okay.
all for it.
And when you were, when you mentioned like Donkey Kong and Mario with some of the different sizes, or like with Link, I do think it'd be really funny if Donkey Kong didn't change size, but he like he wore a T-shirt and a hat at his big size, and they gave him pigtails with like the pink hat, the pink shirt for Dixie Kong, but he was still his normal Donkey Kong size. I think that would be a hilarious
Yeah, that
way of doing the alternate costumes.
that would be ridiculous, but it would be funny. Did you have any more comments?
What about you, Nate?
So I'm just looking at your roster. So were there any characters you that are not included on this that was really hard for you to not include?
Yeah, I had trouble with some characters. Originally, I was thinking of Ice Climber and Game and Watch and Duck Hunt, because they're such unique characters and like you hate to cut them, but it's like, they're not as iconic anymore. So it doesn't make as much sense. And not that I even love playing as them, but I know people do love playing as them, and I didn't want them to be cut from the roster. I was actually thinking of doing like a classic character that you could switch between all of those type characters. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, there's no clean way for that to really work. And I'm with you. Like, there's so many of those interesting characters that I mentioned in my list. I want them to be playable, but for now, I think just being assist trophies, which I think they work really well as assist trophies, and bring them back in future installments. Given the circumstances, given the rule set we
Yeah.
put on ourselves for this discussion.
And Luigi also too. Like that was another one. Originally, I had that as a costume for Mario, but I'm like, no, you can't do that. Do you guys think that Slippy and Peppy is too much for effects, alternate costumes? Do you think that's kind of crazy here
I like it. I think it would be funny.
to be able to switch between it? Or I mean, you wouldn't transform, but to be able to use Slippy and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be very funny, and I think it's fair to take liberties with some of that stuff. I mean, I'd hope with this new game, we could also, chalk this up for other features, but they could have these like alternate. Not only would you have alternate colors, but also alternate costumes. We wouldn't just be limited to like the 8 slots, and we could go for more. So yeah, I think that'd be neat.
I forgot about gold pink peach. The
Oh,
costume
rose gold peach, yeah.
yeah, rose.
That's a
gold
super
peach.
easy costume.
Yeah. So moving on here to the new character. So I have Crash as my number one, and I picked Crash because I just think he's an iconic character from the '90s, and he was basically like the rival of Mario. So you've got to have him in the game. For number two, I picked Rayman. I picked Rayman because they did that leak a few years ago, and ever since then I've kind of wanted him in the game. Prior to that, I never really thought about it, but since that artist drew that leak into the game, I'm kind of like, yeah, I want Rayman in the game now. And I do like the new platforming Rayman games that came out for the 360 and the PS3 and the Wii U. So for number three, I've got here Master Chief. So that's kind of my Microsoft choice. Is Master Chief. I guess it kind of is more like Snake, and it doesn't fit exactly, but I think it would be cool to have Master Chief in the game. And then for Arms character, I picked Ninjara, my favorite Arms character, and I'd like to see him in the game. Arms potentially could have a sequel by that time, so maybe it's time for another Arms character. For number five, I picked Tom Nook and the Nooklings, the little children. So I think he would be a funny character to add, stealing all your bells and whatnot. Um, And then for number 6, I chose King Boo. He was actually the guy that I put on the ballot for the previous game. I think they could do some really unique stuff with Boo, King Boo. I don't know exactly how it would work since he would have to kind of float. That would be interesting to figure out. And then I've got Nightmare from Kirby. I was thinking of the TV show Kirby Right Back at You. I was thinking of that, like, that businessman. I was like, oh, what's his name? And I guess he's Nightmare. He transforms into like the most powerful villain from Kirby. That was my understanding from it. So I chose him as a Kirby villain, and I've gotten rid of King DDD. So that's the new Kirby villain. For number 8, I've got Mega Man X, basically replacing Mega Man. Number 9, I've got Miss Pac-Man with the costume of Pac-Man. Both of those are kind of cheating. And for number 10, I picked Shovel Knight because it's such an iconic indie and he needs to be in Smash. So that is my new character list.
Mike, I have to say you are a braver man than I am. A lot of the choices you picked here were like the alternates that I considered first, and then I kind of ran it through my, okay, what kind of realistically here, or what makes a lot of sense. I considered Crash, but I also considered Spyro before I settled on Minecraft Steve. I figured, oh, we got to have one of those two. And I thought Spyro would make way more sense because, I mean, Crash is really synonymous with Sony because of Naughty Dog. And I thought Spyro, you know, Activision had rebooted it into Skylanders for a little bit, and Spyro was kind of, you know, the early branding for that. And now there's the Spyro Remastered Collection. So I figured Spyro would have a better chance.
Actually, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But then I remembered, oh, wait, I really want Minecraft Steve in there, and that just makes a lot of sense. And, you know, that way there's absolutely no interference with Sony trying to go, well, no, those are PlayStation characters, so we really don't want them appearing in Smash. So that's where I settled that. And you already heard what I said about with Rayman with the rabbits.
Yeah, I actually like. I actually like Spyro more than I like Crash, but I picked him because of the classic.
Absolutely agree. I think Crash would definitely get more people hyped than Spyro. But if you like had both of them, that's where it'd be like, oh my god, that's a great package deal. And then Master Chief. That was the one thing I was thinking about also as I was going with Minecraft Steve. I'm like, Fortnite's huge. Maybe I should have a Fortnite character. And while I'm not personally a fan of Fortnite, I recognize its importance now in the video game industry.
Yeah.
But I was like, I couldn't in good faith let a Fortnite character be in before Master Chief was in Smash. But then again, I circled back. I was like, Minecraft Steve makes more sense. Master Chief would be great, but I think Minecraft is just a better fit for the Nintendo aesthetic.
That's true. That is true. For King Boo, do you guys wonder how he would work too? Like, since he has to float, like, how would that?
Yeah. What would his attacks be?
He'd probably throw his crown at you. He would be able to go through characters somehow. Maybe that would be like his special dodge or something, is like he could go through characters.
That'd be cool. Like his side B, he can like become intangible, and so he can like travel through attacks and projectiles.
Yeah.
For like a second or two.
Yeah, that would be.
What game is King Boo from?
He's just. I think he's in Isn't he in Super Mario World?
Because I thought King Boo appeared in a couple things, and so I don't know exactly what his various moveset abilities have been. Does King Boo also turn away from you if you look at him?
Yeah, you have to turn the other way, or he comes after you.
I'm looking him up right now to see. Okay, King Boo is in a bunch of games, but he was in Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64 DS.
Was he in World, or am I crazy?
First game was Luigi's Mansion.
Okay.
And then Super Princess Peach, apparently he was in.
Yeah, he was the big villain in Luigi's Mansion that I couldn't beat, and then I gave up.
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Mario Party Star Rush, he's a playable character, and a bunch of other playables. I wasn't mentioning all the Mario Parties and Mario Karts he's been in. Okay, yeah, I'd like to see, because I think you could, if he's got like, because he's got this one mean face look, and then he's got like a normal face look, I think also. So if he has like mean face mode, and that way he doesn't have to like turn
I
away.
think he had like a
Um,
staff with a jewel too, or something that he could like shoot
Oh, cool,
stuff
cool.
from. Yeah.
For the floating thing, I don't think that'd be too tricky because not Zero Suit, Dark Samus currently has like a floating thing. So Boo would just float at a set height.
Okay.
So it'd be like this. He'd probably be a bigger Boo, so he'd still just not be touching the ground, but then he'd just move along the ground, levitating slightly. So I could totally see that. Once again, you're kind of picking a character like I feel the same way about King Boo as I do about Piranha Plant. It's like it just seems like an assist trophy to me. But this one's your game. So while I wouldn't be excited for that character, you absolutely just like stole my heart when you said Mega Man X. I prefer Mega Man X, and Mega Man X was my first Mega Man game. I might have one time played like Mega Man 2 or 3 or something before I played X, but Mega Man X is what got me into Mega Man. And I wanted to do the same thing. I just couldn't see Capcom or Nintendo going like, switching the secondary main character design for the primary with my imposed guidelines on myself. I didn't think it could
Another thing
but I would
thought
love it.
Another thing I thought of originally was doing Mega Man and then having him transform into Mega Man X, but I don't know. That would
it doesn't necessarily work that way in canon, and like Smash Brothers tries to be really in line with attention to detail for like that. So that would be honestly, I think Capcom should just make their own Mega Man Smash Brothers because there's enough spin-off series and things and characters that you could have all the different Mega Mans and all the different bosses be able to fight inside characters and stuff from the different series. But that's a conversation for another podcast.
Yeah, and I didn't make my list pretty like your guys' list. So.
That's
Sorry
fine.
about that.
That's fine. Nah, don't worry about it, man. It's cool. It's cool. And then
I'm surprised you didn't choose Waluigi since I know you stated that you would prefer him in this game, in Ultimate.
Yeah, so I caught Wario, so I couldn't have Waluigi, and also I didn't think I wanted more unique characters, so I decided not to include Waluigi here. But I still want him for Smash Ultimate, for sure.
So he'd be on your like DLC list. Yeah, that is pretty bold. I didn't realize you didn't have Wario up there. Yeah, you made a lot of bold choices. So I think this would be very, I don't know if I'd say controversial, but it would definitely be like people would be like, oh my God, like there's some really big hitters here. And then there's some really weird differences. Like I think people would be really confused about the Roy thing, but when they saw Marth was like a costume, I think people would just be like, what? No.
Yeah, they'd think that Marth would be the first choice.
Right now, I'm thinking people would look at your game and they would have a much stronger reaction, whether that's positive or negative, to my list. But that's, I haven't seen Nate's yet. But yeah, was there, do you have like the assist trophies and stuff as well?
No, I didn't put down my assist trophies. Basically, the characters that I didn't have in the game would be assist trophies.
Okay.
Plus, I didn't think of new assist trophies, but.
Oh, you didn't have to think of new ones. It's just moving the existing characters into
all
that for
the
cameo.
existing characters I put as assist trophies.
So then to kind of round it out, which I assume would be the shorter list for you for this. Who would be the characters you would delete from this? Not that you couldn't bring them back in future in the sequels or DLC, but like they wouldn't be assist trophies and you wouldn't have them playable anymore. What's that list look like for you?
Well, I don't think there would be like I'd be forced to like get rid of any as assist trophies, but I guess I would just put.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
I'm just asking if there is any.
No, I wouldn't delete any. If they can be assist trophies, I'd put them as assist trophies.
Okay. Cool.
But if I couldn't, then I'd delete all the rest of the characters.
Well, I didn't know if you'd like split that up, like when I was explaining with mine.
Yeah,
I think
no, it's either one way or the other for me.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my list. What do we got, Nate? You got your list?
Yeah, I just gotta share my screen.
Sounds good.
Okay, so these are the characters that would be returning. The higher the tier, the more I would want them in the game. So
Okay.
I want Palutena. I really like Palutena's moveset, so I want her in the game. I like Pikachu. I really like Blythe. I like how they made her a more diverse character than the other Fire Emblem heroes. I also like Lucina. Then for the A tier characters I want back, I like Greninja. I like Bowser. I like Gibbon Watch. I really like Inkling. I think that for Wolf, they could possibly give him different weapons, like make him a little more diverse compared to Fox. Peach, Zelda, Mega Man. I think if they do Mega Man, I would like it so he has more, since he has like all sorts of different powers. It'd be cool if they give him more powers. Link and Pokemon Trainer. For B tier, Mario. I don't really, since he's a classic character, I feel like he should be included, even though I don't really have strong feelings towards him. But I do think that his hammer should become an attack. Donkey Kong, King DDD, Fox, Ness, Rosalina, but kind of rework her moveset. She's just a little. She just has an odd moveset with the whole Luma mechanic, so maybe they could make that a little easier. Yoshi for C tier. So Kirby again is a classic character, so I kind of feel like Kirby has to be included, even though I don't personally like Kirby. Ridley, Samus, then D tier, Sonic. I actually don't even like him that much, but I feel like since he's like the head of the franchise, the mascot of the franchise, you have to include him. So does anyone have any opinions on this?
First, I just want to say I think it's cool that, and I may be misremembering with Mike's, but it looks like we all agreed that the original 8 have to be there.
Yeah, I think so.
Mike, did you leave anyone from the 8? Mario, Donkey Kong, Fox, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, and Pikachu. Did you have all of them?
And Link.
And
Link.
Captain Falcon isn't there.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no. The original 8. That's
Oh.
the unlockables added up to 12.
Yes, I had the original 8, but I had, instead of Pikachu, I had the Pokemon trainer that could switch between the different Pokemon.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you did like this a workaround and expansion. So, but yeah, so they did end up making it in, and you just didn't do Pikachu purely as his own. So yeah, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go back.
Mike, did you have any opinions?
I like your list. I see you didn't include Roy, so I'm not happy about that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I figured you'd include Rosalina, and Luma. King DDD. Why did you bring back King DDD? Just as one of the villains, or what were your thoughts behind that?
For Kirby characters, he is obviously very aesthetically different than Kirby, while Meta Knight is too similar in frame, in size and model. So I like that King DDD would be a heavy character, which adds more diversity than if we do Kirby and Meta Knight, because those are both light characters. So I think it's important when you have a fighting game to have not only a diverse cast of characters, but a diverse types of characters, like heavy characters and light characters.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, don't have looks like you have a pretty solid list there.
Okay. I'll move on to who I think my list is the most out there and characters I want added. So I want Tails from Sonic, just because he's obviously the second most popular Sonic character. Since he's kind of a mechanic, I think he could have all sorts of attacks where he incorporates gadgets. Or in Sonic Adventure 2, he actually drives a mech, so I think that would be cool. So since they have Pokken as a fighting game, and I'm pretty sure Scissor is one of the options, I think it would be cool if they could include both Scissor and Machamp from Pokken, because they already have like models and attacks from that game.
Yeah, Scizor's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, especially since like he can fly, and I think it would just look cool. For Mega Man's, I would actually want Zero, since he in PlayStation games and like all those Marvel versus Capcom games, they actually included Zero before they included Mega Man. I just think Zero is actually cooler than Mega Man. He has his beam sword, and I think it'd just be interesting if he was included. Knuckles, he's also from Sonic. I think he would be a more heavier character than Sonic, and he would just be more pure power. And so instead of Piranha Plant, I would do PD Piranha, since I think it just makes more sense. Like PD Piranha is just a greater, more famous character that has more of a plot role than just Piranha Plant, which is a generic enemy. Could also be one of the heavier characters, so I think that would be cool. Then I kind of went a little out there, since I noticed there was like a Mortal Kombat game on the Switch. I don't know how this would work out, but I think it would be cool if they include Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, since it's obviously another fighting game, and he can freeze people. He can create weapons with ice, such as like an ice hammer. I guess he would sort of replace the ice climbers. Sort of. He could also tell. Okay, so I noticed in other fighting games they have characters that can teleport. I guess in Smash they have characters that can like teleport as an up B, but in other fighting games they have characters that can teleport right behind the other character. So I think it'd be cool if they include Sub-Zero and his ability to kind of just teleport behind the other character. It sort of seems like that could be broken, so maybe have a long cooldown for that.
Greninja's got a similar kind of ability. It's the shadow that travels across the ground, but you can make them like it can pop up behind a character.
Yeah, it's kind of like a way to deal with projectile characters where, I don't know, maybe you have like a limited, it can't like travel completely full screen, but if they're within a certain range, you just like teleport behind the enemy character. So I noticed that Borderlands is also on the Switch now. So one of the characters is Amara. She's this character with, so Borderlands is a shooter, so she could have grenades, shotguns, all rocket launchers. But she also, in the Borderlands game, her unique power is she creates these like fists that, as you can see in the picture, is kind of like she has psychic powers that create these giant fists that like come out of the ground, and they can like grab and immobilize the opponent. So I think that would be really cool. So it's kind of a little redundant. I am biased towards Fire Emblem, so I think it'd be cool if they included Lynn in her game. She has a sword, but unlike Lucina and all the other Fire Emblem characters, she has a katana, so she has more of like a ninja type sword compared to the more European type swords the other Fire Emblem characters have. She also has a bow, but going to the actual game, there's also other swords that have long range properties that are magic. So there's like a wind sword where like you kind of shoot blades of wind. I think that would be cool. There's a rune sword, which is sort of like Robin's Nosferatu attack, where it's long range and you steal the health of the opponent to recover your own health. I think that would be cool. And yeah, I think she would be cool. And also, I think she could have like a counter type attack like the current Fire Emblem characters. Maybe sort of like Greninja, where she teleports and appears like behind or above them and attacks them with her sword. And then finally, I feel like Dr. Eggman would be cool to include. I'm kind of undecided whether he would be in like a floating mech robot thing, or if he would just be himself, but he could call various minions like his robots. And that's it. So does anyone have any thoughts on the new characters?
It's interesting because you did pick a lot of similar characters from the same series, but then you've also got these really large departures, which I really appreciate. I do think Scissor's really cool. Machamp would be a good throwback there as well. And then you have Tails, you have Knuckles, and you have Eggman. I could see Eggman kind of working like the way we were talking about like Boo, where he'd be in his little egg craft and he'd float around, and then he could, he could throw out his different minions on the stage, or he has like the lasers and things. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could pull from that, and then he could do one of his bigger mechs as like his final smash. So that's really easy to see. Lynn, it sounds like you said, has a lot of different abilities from her things, so she could be a very diverse Fire Emblem character, and that would be another assist trophy being evolved into a full character. So that'd be really neat. I'm a huge fan of Borderlands. I haven't had a chance to really play 3 yet, but I know Amara's pretty dope. And yeah, you could have Amara as her base Siren set. A Siren would most likely make the most sense because of their mystical abilities. She's got the punching abilities to make melee, but then also she could probably have a bunch of legendary guns. And maybe that's one of the things is she has like kind of like how Hero kind of works with his down B, where he cycles through all those different spells. Maybe she has an ability where she pulls out a gun, and it's one of like the signature legendaries from 3 or even from the series, and she pulls it out, does like a random attack with it, then tosses it away and it disappears, and then you just cycle through them. So I could see that being really cool. So Sub-Zero, totally agree with you that if they were going to pull a Mortal Kombat character, Sub-Zero's ice powers are like the least violent, and the only reason I didn't like mention Sub-Zero for mine is I think convincing the Japanese side of Nintendo to include someone as violent. Mortal Kombat's just super violent, so it just doesn't really mesh well with the Nintendo aesthetic, which is, even though Snake is kind of a counter to that as well, like it's just not, Metal Gear doesn't highlight gore and things like that. Same kind of thing that I think like if Doom Guy would be cool, but I feel like Nintendo just doesn't want to push too hard people towards games like that. Zero's really cool. I agree with you. He is cooler than Mega Man X. I really like Mega Man X, and I would do something with, I love all his different armors. So that's the one thing, but I completely agree with you that Zero just plays super cool, and I've played him in some of the Marvel vs. Capcom games, and he is a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Mike, did you have any thoughts?
Some of the characters I'm not as familiar with, like the Mortal Kombat character and the Borderlands character. I agree with you on Scissor. I think Scissor would be really cool. Scissor or Sizer would be really cool.
Scyther?
Scyther, yeah. Would be really cool to see in the game. For Tails, I know we talked about this on another podcast, and I think he would be a cool addition as well. Why did you have so many ones from the same series? Just series that you like a lot?
Yeah, I have to admit, they're not the most diverse. This isn't the most diverse set of new characters. I had a lot of characters from other sets as assist trophies, so I think my bias is definitely showing. I guess I'm also just more familiar with Sonic and Pokemon than other franchises. I guess that's...
Go ahead, sorry.
I mean, it's kind of also a limitation of Nintendo in that they, to my knowledge, they overall have less franchises, so you kind of have a more narrow character roster.
Was Birdo a special appearance, like a bonus character? Is that a secret character?
Oh, that's actually in my assist. That's in my assists. I have a really long assist. So let's actually segue. We'll do costumes and assists. Costume was pretty simple. Falco for Fox, Dr. Mario for Mario, Zero Suit Samus for Samus, Daisy for Peach, Crumb and Marth for Lucina, Lucas for Ness, Metal Sonic, Shadow for Sonic. Okay, so I left a lot of people out, and especially the new characters I added wasn't really that diverse. So I tried to make the assists more diverse. Heracross, I think, would be a cool assist. Mewtwo. I didn't include any of the Animal Crossing characters since
No.
I never played that series, and it just seems odd that they're they're in a fighting game to me. So I feel like they're more like assist level characters. Wario, Captain Falcon. So I never actually played F-Zero, which is a racing game. I know he had his own TV show. I'm not familiar enough. Like I don't know where his moves are coming from. So I don't know.
I think they're mostly just made up, kind of like
Okay.
how Fox's moves were made up back in Star Fox 64. Because I mean, original Smash Brothers kind of made up their moves for Fox and Captain Falcon, I believe. I could be wrong, but yeah, I am familiar with the F-Zero anime, but I think that came out way after the.
Wasn't there a Star Fox Adventures or something where you were like,
That was GameCube.
weren't you out of the vehicles? Did they have special attacks or did they just shoot guns?
They just shot stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
mostly guns, but also Fox was designed for N64, so Star Fox Adventure wouldn't have come out until GameCube. And actually, Star Fox Adventure, which you're specifically talking about, that came out, on GameCube. And then I was thinking of the other one that came out, because Star Fox Adventure was the one that had Crystal in it.
Oh,
and
Assault.
then they did
Right, Assault.
Assault was the other one. That's the one I was thinking of more. But yeah, but N64 had designed Fox's moveset before any of that.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I felt that Captain Falcon should be more of an assist character, just because I don't know, like his moveset seems a little odd to me. Like he seems like more of an assist level character based on that. I had Tom Nook. One of the newer Pokemon that I felt that would be cool to add as an assist would be Eternatus. He's like the final boss, the most recent Pokemon game.
I think it's safe to say, the Pokemon, when we talk about Pokemon, they'd be in the Pokeballs.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, no, that's it's such a crazy looking Pokemon.
yeah, definitely.
Or isn't he one of the new beasts? Isn't that what they're called or something?
Oh, you mean Ultra Beasts?
Is that what they're called, Ultra Beasts?
Well, that's in Sun and Moon, but
Is he an
yeah.
Ultra Beast or is he a Pokemon? I mean, I guess Ultra Beasts are a type of Pokemon, but I forget the exact semantics.
I'm not sure if he's an Ultra Beast, but yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. Those like Ultra Beast Pokemon are like really weird looking, so I think it'd actually be cool if those were included too.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. And
Yeah, Mike, what's your opinion on like other Pokemon?
As far as Pokeballs or just having
Yeah,
the
Pokeballs.
Ultra Beast?
Well, like Pokeballs, Ultra Beasts, just like Pokemon to add as Pokeballs.
Oh, I'd like to see a lot of the classic characters. I mean, I like the new Pokemon, but I relate most to the original ones. Like, I mean, Snorlax is obviously one that was in the original one. And then, did they have Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee? That would be a cool Pokeball to have. But
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know about having Ultra Beasts. I don't know.
I mean, they have like some of the legendary Pokemon to do like super crazy moves, so it wouldn't
Yeah,
be
that's
weird
true.
for them to do the
Okay.
Ultra Beasts. And it looks like Eternus, I was just Googling it, is just a Pokemon. He's not an Ultra Beast. But forgive us, listeners, if I'm completely wrong.
He's actually like in the like Sword and Shield. He's actually so big that I'm thinking now he might be like good to include on a stage where he's like a stage hazard.
That's a good idea too.
So just moving on, Pit. So I had Palutena as the Kid Icarus character. So Pit would be assist. Robin would be assist. I do like how they diversified Luigi over time, like with his vacuum cleaner. But he's just not different enough for Mario for me to justify taking up another roster spot. Hammer Bros, I think they would be a cool generic enemy as an assist character. I kind of prefer Hammer Bros to the Piranha Plant. Joker, Meta Knight, Diddy Kong, Banjo Kazooie, Birdo, I think would be a cool assist character where I think it's a she, but I'm not 100% sure, can shoot eggs.
It's a weird situation, but yeah. Birdo's Birdo.
Okay. Then Rue, Simon or Richter. I'm not actually that familiar with the plot, but I think it'd be cool if Dracula was an assist or maybe a stage hazard. I do like how he was a final boss in the new Smash game.
He is supposed to be a stage hazard in the Castlevania stage. He just appears very rarely, to my understanding.
Okay. Waluigi, I feel like he would throw bomb bombs. So
Isn't Waluigi one right now?
He is.
Yeah.
So he's just saying he'd keep him, which,
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, that's fair.
I think like I never actually played the Conker's Bad Fur Day on Nintendo 64, but I know he was in like Diddy Kong Racing, so I think he would also be cool.
Oh, yeah, bring Classic Conker and he just drives the cart. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Okay, so obviously I'm kind of biased for Sonic games, but Omega from Sonic, I think he would be cool just because he has like all the weapons.
Yeah,
So
you're definitely not offending anyone with adding assist trophies. The only thing that happens there is people get disappointed when they're not just fully playable. But no, yeah, you can definitely let that the fanness fly when it comes to the assist trophies.
yeah, I did. Since I think all three of us included something Paper Mario related, I did play the original Paper Mario. Thought it'd be cool to include Lady Bo. I think her attack is in that game is she like slaps the opponent with her fan. So I think she would be cool to include. Another kind of character. Okay, finally, and Rouge would be the final Sonic character. So Sonic, like Mario, has a big universe. So I just feel like it'd be cool to incorporate more characters from the Sonic universe.
I don't disagree with you there. I think I forgot to mention when you were talking about Tails and the way he would work. I agree with you. I think like him using like his gadgets and stuff would be cool. And then maybe his final smash being either the mech or the tornado airplane, and he does like a energy blast or something from that, or missile launch. Those would be really cool. So I was working on that one. And then like the only difference between how we like handle the Mario, because you included Bo, and I think you're completely correct. Paper Mario has a bunch of your teammates that appear and do the unique attacks. So for me, I wanted to use them kind of the way they work in the game, and they appear and they help out Mario, and they'd be like his specials. And then Count Bleck, because I played I did play Paper Mario 64. Unfortunately, I haven't played Thousand Year Door, and I know for a lot of Paper Mario fans, that's the game to play, and I'm sorry I haven't played it. But I did play Super Paper Mario because that seemed unique enough, and then Count Bleck I thought was an amazing enemy. So yeah, my pick would be Count Bleck should be the assist trophy, although I would also like him to be a playable character because we need more villains. Like I would have Bo. She would probably be like his side B. She pops in, she slaps the guy with the fan, and then pops back out, and that'd be how I'd do it. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought Sticker Star was the game to play.
I heard
joking.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we all know like Sticker Star is apparently really bad, but I liked the Mario and Luigi crossover that was on 3DS. Hang on. A clever title.
I like those Mario and Luigi games. I think what you're saying is one of those where like you can be both of the Mario and Luigi characters. I just like those the attacks I found were really funny in those games. So if they could incorporate some of those funny attacks, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, they did it. So I looked it up. They did a combo game, and I played this. I actually liked it a lot. It just definitely seemed like they did a lot of asset recycling, unfortunately. But Mario and Luigi, it was the title series, but it was a crossover with Paper Mario, and it was called Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Paper Jam Bros? No, just Paper Jam. It looks like the box art might be a little different. But yeah, and then it had regular Mario, regular Luigi from the Mario and Luigi series, and then Paper Mario was the third teammate on that. And you could do all sorts of weird team-up attacks between the normal Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario, who can mix in some like paper-style team-up attacks. I thought that was definitely really cool. So they've done interesting things with Paper Mario, but I still want Super Mario RPG to get a true sequel, and maybe just maybe someday it'll happen. Or I think it was a rumor. Now I'm confusing things. There might have been something about like the new Paper Mario is supposed to be a lot more like Mario RPG or a lot more like Thousand Year Door, which is what people wanted after the last couple.
Yeah, I don't follow the Paper Mario too much, or Mario and Luigi series. I know they're both really popular series.
Yeah, Mario and Luigi I haven't played. I played the first one. It was kind of okay. I liked that the battle system was a lot more like Super Mario RPG. but it's still not the same. It just didn't have the same kind of flavor to it that I attribute Super Mario RPG, it's a very Square Enix style flavor, and I think that's kind of that like weird mashup that just works so well. But I don't think they're bad games. It just never truly grabbed me.
I played some of 64. That's the most popular one, right? Or that or Thousand Year Door. Which one is?
Thousand Year Door on
Okay.
GameCube is the most popular one right
Okay.
now. And then Super Paper Mario was a big departure on Wii because it did like the 2D, 3D flipping mechanic, but it was also kind of went back to just being a platformer and sort of like kind of like an action RPG because you battled in real time. You didn't like stop and do random encounters. They were just enemies on the screen and you could like hit them with the hammer, or you could actually switch between Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser, and they each had like some unique abilities to go through traversing the stage and attacking enemies. So, but it was once again, it was like they totally just changed up the gameplay. Whereas like Paper Mario 64, 2000 Year Door are much more similar.
So we all have like really unique lists, I think. I don't
We do.
think anyone have like the same things.
No, not at all. And I think I'd have to say, Nate, yours is probably the most controversial. But you were definitely going with your biases a lot more, or your personal preferences, excuse me. And I appreciate that. I think that's what I wanted to see between the lists, is who was going to go like super hardcore into like absolutely this is what I want. And I'm making this game myself. But yeah, and I don't think anyone said anything too unreasonable. This is all for fun, but yeah.
Wait,
definitely.
We're not sending this to Nintendo for our
We don't want
resume?
to. We don't want to give away the secret yet. We don't want
Okay.
to let the world know that we're asking our uncle at Nintendo to put our lists in and show why we should take over for Sakurai when he's ready to retire.
That would be funny if Nintendo actually, I mean, I'm sure they listen to fan videos and fan stuff, and I mean, it's possible they could incorporate a character.
Didn't they do like some kind of vote thing in the past?
Yeah.
In the middle of the Smash Brothers Wii U DLC season, they did do the user votes. I forget how early in they did it. I think it was after they did Lucas and Roy coming back, but definitely before Cloud and Bayonetta and Corrin, I think. They did the fan vote and collected a bunch of that information, which is probably what they used to shape their DLC and new offerings into Smash Ultimate. And then I guess we'll see with the next season pass with the last 5 characters, just how much of that gets fulfilled. There's so much information out there and people asking for stuff. I'm sure for Nintendo, a lot of it does come down to not only, well, what do fans like, but what can we actually get licensing deals for, and what makes sense to us, because Nintendo is still a very Japanese company and they're very much like, we need to do things the Nintendo way.
And didn't Sakurai say that all the DLC was picked by Nintendo like ahead of time? That wasn't like he wasn't making the decision on that or the call on that, or he was just approving them or whatever.
Yeah, that's the way he put it. It was translated in that direct. So a lot of people have speculated that this was him trying to be like, yo, don't blame me for this. Also, all the characters are already decided. So if you're asking on Twitter, like, nothing's going to change. It's already been figured out, and literally it's set in stone. I think there was a couple parts to that, but it's hard to say what that means for whether Nintendo, is going to like really side with like what fans have told them, or if they're going to go, no, like, here's our corporate goals and this is what we're going to need. So it's going to be like all first party characters. Nobody really knows. We'll have to see. And right now this is ARMS, which is kind of surprising considering that Springman was revealed as an assist trophy, which makes this also very interesting to be like, is it not Springman? Is it someone else? And, Springman and Ribbon Girl would be considered like the 2 main characters, and typically that's what you see in Smash Brothers. Ninjara is a cool design, and I agree that I think he'd be the more interesting one, but he's just not the number one. Like, that'd be not Ribbon Girl, but Springman. And so, it'd just be odd. Still cool, but odd.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Ninjara he would have the most option for attacks, but it'd be cool if they did include an arms character, if they literally include the fact that their arms can stretch out really far. I think that would be really cool.
I definitely think that's going to be a huge part of it. And I think they were saying something in their teaser about like how he needs a bit of the arms character needs some more time to be worked on. So who knows just how far they're going with that, with those stretchy arm gimmicks.
I have a theory for the third-party characters. I think that we're done with third-party characters because those were the first four characters, and they haven't. The last two have not been first-party characters, and they're not going to do any more third-party characters.
Technically, Piranha Plant was the first DLC character, so that was Nintendo. Then we got the 4 third-party,
but none of the paid. Well, I guess it's paid now, but none of the I don't know. Who knows?
Piranha Plant I think was was offered as a pre-order bonus, but was going to be paid for separately, but is not part of the first season pass. So it just pointing out some of the specifics here. We're trying to look for patterns after Byleth's reveal, which Byleth ended up being a great character. I do like playing as Byleth. It is disappointing that it's another Fire Emblem character. It is disappointing that it was the 5th and final character for the first season pass after this build-up of third-party characters. So I just think they handled it wrong, but it wasn't a bad character. So I've learned to just check my hype, and now I'm just not going to be excited about the character until literally I know who it is. I don't even care about gossiping for whoever's next. I just want to see who they announce, and it's Smash Bros. So I just want all the characters.
Yeah, so it's so weird how they just revealed that it's going to be an ARMS character, but didn't actually just start trying to build hype for it without revealing who it is.
In a way, it's really clever to do that because now everyone's talking about who could it be. In a way, it's
it's marketing.
It's a smart, yeah.
Mike, didn't you say you're hearing that people wanted Twintel?
Yeah, that's what when I looked online, and also I think Bert, you were saying you wanted Twintel, right?
Twintel was a very big meme before for her character design being very attractive. I felt like Twintel, they must be adding her. But now I'm more convinced that it's going to be Helix. I think they're going to do a weirdo. He's kind of and so I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm fine with whoever it ends up being because it's a new character. It's representing a new series. It's one of Nintendo's only other fighting series, so it makes a lot of sense to have an ARMS character playable. So I'll be fine with whoever it is. But I was expecting Twintel. Now I'm expecting Helix, and the way they're announcing this, it makes me feel like the other speculation of maybe it's a bunch of the characters where each one's a different one, because there is kind of that interchangeable nature for a number of them, not all of them. There's a couple that are very unique in their build and abilities. Yeah, I could see them going with a mixture where Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, Twintel, and I forget all the names of the other ones, but even Helix kind of has a more humanistic body proportion. They'd fit in the same hit boxes and stuff like that, and they could easily swap between them.
I would be totally for that, but I don't know.
Also, who knows? I just thought of this off the top of my head. What if they're making a whole brand new ARMS character, and that's the character they're not only putting in Smash, but will then also be a free DLC character for regular ARMS? That would be wild.
That would be crazy.
I'm pulling that out of thin air right now, but that actually I think would be super, super cool. They're just we are just making a brand new character, and it will be a DLC character for both Smash Brothers and the ARMS game. That would actually be pretty wild. And side note, I always thought, and I don't think they did it. I always thought it'd be cool, even though there's the stretchy arms gimmick. I thought it would always be cool. They're totally gonna put Little Mac in it, because he's a boxer, so he uses the 2 punches, and they're gonna make him this. He's weak, but he's fast, and so he just gets in and hits the guys away. Or they'd give him springy arms and do this Spring Mac or something like that. But they didn't do that, and I feel like they missed a really big opportunity unless they're going to do that, which would be super cool.
Yeah, that
in
would
my
be
opinion.
that would be crazy since they started or stopped supporting the game or adding DLC characters like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, they did carry on for I don't know if it was like a year or like half a year, but they did do a lot of DLC.
But
They
it
did
would
add
be a
like
good idea to bring hype back to the game, get people playing again.
yeah, they're already doing that free demo on for anyone who's on Nintendo
The
Online.
test fire, yeah. Or no, not the test
Yeah.
fire. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's an actual demo. So I'm taking a look.
What was that bubble game or bubble gum game that you're talking about that's coming out soon?
Oh yeah. It is a beta. I guess it's not like the true official release, but it is an open beta. Ninjala.
Okay.
It's kind of Splatoon like, but it uses melee weapons mostly and ninja powers.
Is that
So-
Nintendo?
No, it's not Nintendo.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
a Nintendo exclusive.
Okay.
I don't even know if Nintendo's publishing it.
Hmm.
But hang on, I'm checking out. Okay, so they did 5 DLC fighters for ARMS, which was Max Brass, Lola Pop, Misango, Springtron, and Dr. Coil.
Springtron was just a clone of Springman, right?
It was. Oh. I'm looking at the picture right now, so I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being an alternate costume, of course, but I wonder. But yeah, them doing another one. Oh, Min Min is another super popular requested one because
Sure.
once again, she's she's an interesting looking female character on top of also having an attractive character model because that's just that's what the internet likes. So
I forgot what does she have something where she's serving Chinese food or something?
her hair looks like an upside down spilled noodle bowl. Like she has this blonde stringy hair, and her hat looks like it's a beanie, but it looks like an udon bowl or like a noodle bowl that spilled onto her head. And then the one part of her arm, which both looks like hair, but also like the udon noodles, connected to a mace. So yeah, she's got that Chinese food or Asian food motif to her design as well.
Okay. Yeah, that should be interesting.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Now that I'm actually looking at the list, Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, Min Min, Helix, Twintel would be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. Bite and Bark, although that would be he's kind of human sized, but he has the sidecar thing, so that might not quite miss up. Kid Cobra is human sized, so that would be 6. That's 6. And let me look at Misango is human sized. Springtron would be human sized. And Dr. Coil, I think, is also human sized, but the picture's not showing everything. So maybe not. I think Dr. Coil is actually a super boss level. Max Brass is kind of human sized, but he looks a little larger. So I don't know. So yeah, there's a possibility for those mixes, but yeah, we're all just gonna have to wait. Yeah, I'm not getting extra hype. I just thought of a really cool idea that Nintendo's probably not doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea for sure.
So yeah, we'll all talk on the side about that when that happens. I'm sure we'll all text each other once that happens and that character's revealed. But yeah, so the second half here, let's talk about Smash Brothers Remix hypothetical. What new features do you want to see added? How would you want the game changed in a radical way, or just what would you want out of the next Smash Brothers? You don't necessarily have to go crazy. You could just say I really want it to just be the same thing with a better single player mode, etc. We don't have to come to a consensus. We're just talking here. So let's go in reverse here. And Nate, what are your thoughts right now on what you'd want in a new Smash Bros?
What I guess the main thing I would want is the heavier, slower characters being upgraded a little bit more. I know that they did upgrade Bowser and Ganondorf, but I like Ridley. I just feel like the heavier characters still are a little too slow because they're so big and their heaviness, even though that makes them harder to kill, it makes them easier to hit and easier to combo. So just powering up the heavier characters more.
How do you feel about King K. Rool?
I don't like his moveset. I just find his moves. Well, I guess the cannonball's gun vacuum thing is interesting. I just find him unconventional. His moves don't make intuitive sense to me.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, that certainly is the way. Like Zero Suit Samus, her up tilt is her only attack that hits on both sides, whereas her down smash is just the one thing, the one blast in front of her on the ground, and that throws me off because every other character hits on both sides with their down smash. But I was mainly asking, so with heavy characters are trying to balance it, the speed versus the power. So they're slower, so they're more powerful. So are you saying you'd be okay with them reducing how hard they hit to give them more speed?
I've seen other videos. It's an interesting question because I don't have a simple solution. That's definitely one thing they could do. Make them faster, reduce the amount of time that it takes them to recover. But it's just interesting the fact that they're heavier and don't move as much when they're hit, that it's a strength in that they'll obviously, if they get hit at an attack at high health or high damage, they're less likely to die, but it's also a weakness because it makes them easier to combo. So
yeah, I'm just saying.
No, you continue.
I was just going to say, but so would you be okay with, though, to make that part happen? Like they hit for less damage per hit, but then they do, they're faster, they recover better. Maybe they are still heavy, but they're, to compensate for that, like they just don't have as much power as they did before.
Yeah, definitely. Also, just the fact, I don't know, maybe like some of their moves like have like massive knockback, but also again with the knockback, that actually is a double-edged sword because it also makes it harder to combo the enemies if all your attacks are like knocking your opponent really far. So I don't really have any simple solution, but yeah, definitely making them faster, maybe make them do a little less damage, but to compensate that, it make them easier to do longer combos with.
Okay. I'm really curious with this idea of like the balance tweaking. Did you play on Smash Wii U, and did you mess around with any of like the gear and stuff and like tweak their stats for any of these heavy characters? Did you experiment with any of that?
I actually didn't have. Well, I really didn't play Smash Wii U that much.
Or Smash 3DS, because they had the system on both.
No. I didn't really play those games that much. So I actually recently bought the Smash Ultimate game, so I'm not as well versed in the previous Smash games.
Okay.
We just played a lot of multiplayer for Wii U Smash and the previous Smash games.
Sure.
I played against Mike at his house.
Nice. Yeah. I'd be interested to see how you would, reshape some of those characters. So like not it can't be K. Rool or Ridley, unfortunately, because of Smash Wii U, but like Bowser, Ganondorf, and DDD. Which one of those three is like do you prefer, or do you like them all, or etc.?
I like Bowser the most.
Okay.
I like his grab, the side B grab move. I think that's cool.
Okay. Because I think it'd be interesting, like, obviously right now with the quarantining, we can't really get together, but, after it'd be neat to, like, pull out the Wii U, and it'd be cool to have you tinker with them, like, with the gear and stuff. I don't know how much gear, like, Mike has on his. I know I have a lot from my save file, but, we could figure that out. And I'd be curious to see how you would feel, because you could actively tinker with the balance, and that's literally what you could do, is you could up their speed and ability, because they had the three stats. It was like power, speed, and defense. And power, and based on which one you increased, it decreased another one kind of like rock, paper, scissors. So like if you increased power, it lowered your defense, which was your weight. And if you increased your defense, it lowered which made you heavier, made them heavier. It lowered their speed. And then you increase their speed, it lowers their power. Now there was ways, because every time you put on a piece, it increased one thing and it decreased another. But there's a way you could get all of those and still have a net increase on all the stats. But I experimented with Ganondorf because there was also the alternate moves that you could, alternate special moves you could put on the characters. So once I unlocked all the moves, with Ganondorf, I was like, I'd really like to see if I could make these characters, these clones, feel less like clones. And so I really focused on Ganondorf. And my friends played a lot as Ganondorf as well, so it kind of inspired me to take a look at him. And I made my own Ganondorf with the custom moves and the skills, and I sacrificed some power to make him move faster, to make him jump higher. And the alternate special moves just felt more different than he did then made him feel a lot less like Captain Falcon. So I was able to make like a Ganondorf I thought was fun. So I'm curious, that'd be interesting to see if you could find that balance and tweak it and be able to show us like, here, this is how I want Bowser to play. Because you could tweak him probably to feel a lot like he does in Ultimate, on top of just messing with him and seeing if you could find that right balance.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing is just overall balance. I think you said this with Little Mac, that Smash is like a very air-centric game. So if they do include Little, I just don't want like any character with like a major flaw like Little Mac. Like they made him powerful on the ground, but then they like neutered him and overcompensated it. I feel like every character should have somewhat decent recovery and not totally suck in the air.
Little Mac should have Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. I agree. And actually, I did tweak Little Mac as well because my one friend wanted Little Mac to be in the game, and he played as him, and he was super happy with how powerful he was, but he was definitely super disappointed that his recovery was just super trash. And so I did experiment with Little Mac, and I think you were able to give him like an extra ability, and I was able to give him a triple air jump. So we had like two double jumps. I tried making that for my friend, and he said, it's like, that's kind of neat, but it also kind of kills, what's unique about him. So he couldn't really articulate like a happy medium that he would have wanted Little Mac to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like you could just do, like I was wondering if they could do like a double jump for Little Mac, like a double recovery, like double jump type recovery.
I think I think maybe the answer is that they make his moves work just as good in the air as they do on the ground. Like his up B just goes higher if he jumps from the ground, and his side B also kind of does the same thing. I think it would be better if they actually traveled like the same distance, whether he was in the air or in the ground, and just lowered the power. So if you like did the spiral in the air, it did like a third of the damage it would have if you connected from the ground. And that way he still has those aerial abilities. He still can jump and come back. But unless his feet are on the ground, that would be the thing. Like he does like almost no damage while on the ground, or he does tons of damage while his feet are on the ground, but anytime he's in the air, he just does a lot less. And they kind of do that with the normals, but translate that to the specials, and maybe that's that magic balance we're looking for Little Mac.
For sure. Any other thoughts, Nate?
I guess grabs could be. I know it's a lot of effort to make all these attack animations for different characters. I do like Kirby's grabs. They're surprisingly violent for him being a very small character. I like grabs that are unique. Like I don't like the Fire Emblem characters' grabs. They seem kind of lazy. So if they could put a little more flair into and try to individualize each character's grab, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's fair. Is there anything else like modes or battle system wise that you'd want to tweak or add or change?
I didn't like the adventure mode. That was so okay. So if they do an adventure mode,
which it most likely would,
they would need to. Like I feel like this most recent adventure mode was just random. Like there wasn't really a story. It was just like they just throw you into random situations. Definitely go back to the past adventure modes where there's a more cohesive story, and it's not just like random fights and where with weird conditions. Like definitely plot helps.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans just want to see the Nintendo characters like also interacting in the non-battle scenarios, and that's the part that I think like Sakurai and Nintendo do kind of miss in terms of what fans want is, and they do it in like the trailers. They do have some funny interactions and things like that, which is neat. But yeah, people really want it in the game and kind of like the story that facilitates these interactions. So I totally agree with you on that.
All right, everyone. I'm going to go over things that I would like to add to the new Super Smash game. So one thing I have here is that I don't want to see any returning stages besides Final Destination. I want all unique stages, all new stages. Nothing that we've seen before. I don't know if that's too crazy.
That's bold. A lot of boldness coming out of you guys today.
So you don't like the classic, like Nintendo 64 stages, like the Kirby, the Kirby stage with the blowing wind?
I do like the classic stages, but with the new game, like going in a new direction, I want to see something new. I want to see. I can play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. It's not like I don't have Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, right?
So you want only Final Destination style stages?
No, I want Final Destination, and then all unique.
Which version of Final Destination?
Just the regular Final Destination stage.
Well, they changed the kind of the art design of it, each one. So would you want like Melee? Would you want Brawls? Would you want Wii or would you want?
I'd say a new one.
Ultimates. You want a new? Okay, just Final Destination, but a brand new look for it.
For Final Destination, but all other stages would all be like completely new stages.
Oh, I thought you said you only wanted every stage to be Final Destination.
No.
Okay, I thought you were making a really good joke.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I do want Final Destination in the game, but I also want a whole bunch of new stages with new mechanics and.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, yeah, I thought you were doing the opposite. Like, no, only Final Destination. Like, Fox only, no items, Final Destination, only Final Destination. Don't even alternate skin. You pick one stage. It's Final Destination. We'll keep the random button, but it just picks Final Destination. I thought that's what you were saying, and I was laughing super hard. But yeah, totally new types of stages, like toss on the. Oh man,
yeah,
that's crazy. I think that could work, like because you can keep all the same aesthetics, all the different like game worlds, but yeah, just totally new. Oh, they could do that. I could see that happening actually.
Because I'm saying, like, why do I need to play the old ones that I've already? Like, I can pull out Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's in 1080p or it's in HD. Looks great. I don't need to see those stages again.
I do think though, I do like certain stages better. I play with hazards off, as you know. But I do like some of the varying layouts for the stages because it does add just a little bit of variety and changes things up. And I'm a very big fan of the fact that they added a Final Destination version and Battlefield version for all of the stages. And while I do prefer Final Destination, I do think it's also nice to have those walk-off stages without hazards because some of them, like Little Mac and some other characters just do way better when it's just you're on that flat surface. You don't have to worry about jumping to recovery. You're just trying to stay in the middle of the screen as much as possible. And I think some people don't like that. And I know competitive Smash, they don't allow those stages because it's unbalanced for certain characters. But, I do like some of the variety. But I can agree with you that, maybe different styles. And I think they see that. And I hope they're collecting metadata from the types of custom stages that get made. Most of people use the custom stage thing as just an art creator now, but some people actually try to create interesting stages.
Yeah, and also like for Terry's stage, that's really cool. Though the new one that they added with you have to break the walls. That's interesting.
I like that a lot too. I think it's like a good alternative to the just straight up walk offs, and it adds that, and it adds like kind of like traditional fighting games where there's like corner pressure, and they have to bounce off that. But that's the thing, they bounce off, so it's not just sticking people in there. But that offers its own balanced challenges. But yeah, with a brand new game, they tweak all that. So yeah, no, I think that's a very cool ask.
Thanks.
Please go on.
All right. Another thought that I had was new moves for all the classic characters. Not reworking all their moves, but adding at least one new move to the classic characters just to change it up.
Okay. Would you want to just straight up like replace a character, or would you want them to add like a new type of input that allows for another type of move?
Oh, like an extra. Huh.
Yeah, it could be like a button or just a type of input. For example, like Inkling for the ink refilling has now shield plus special button, which would be the B button traditionally, but shield plus special. And that's a command that I don't think had any sort of command tied to it for any other character up to this point. So like there, for Inkling, that's a special manual refill command. But they could add that to every other character and give them like their own special move, or maybe that's like the final smash command. So yeah, do you think you'd want just moves replaced, or do you want to add like an extra input for the new move?
I think they could do both, but I think an extra input would be really cool because you could keep all the old moves. But I mean, it's a completely new game, so maybe replacing them would be a better idea.
I'm just asking for your preference because people are still going to be mad whenever their character gets changed. A move goes away. Someone loves the flood move on Mario.
Yeah.
Someone does, and they will be very upset that it's not there if it's gone.
Personally,
just like how people.
I would want an extra input, or say they had a controller with like an extra button or something. I don't know. They found a way to like make it easy. No, I don't want it to be like oh, you have to like click ZLR to. I don't want it to be like Street Fighter or something where you have to do all these things to do an attack. Yeah. So that's my.
Did you play PlayStation All Stars at all?
Yes. Yeah. I have it for Vita.
Okay, so because they have I think it's like jump, and then they have attack 1, attack 2, attack 3, but then the rest of that's like Smash Brothers where you tilt and you get like different attacks. Would you want Smash Brothers to go a little bit more that way, where there's like a whole other a third attack button, and then they kind of spread out all the commands over that, or do you still want to keep Smash's basic here? I'm just asking for preference. Like you can dream it up however you want.
I'd say stick with the simpler mechanics.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a clearer idea of what you're thinking of. But yeah, continue.
So yeah, personally, I would want it to be like, oh, you can press like the Splatoon character Inkling, where you could do like 2 button presses for like an attack or something like that. But I think for this new game that I'm building, I think I would prefer it to actually replace old attacks, even if people are mad. Oh.
How did you feel about the alternate special attack customization that Smash Wii U and 3DS had?
I actually really barely used it. I mean, I unlocked some of the moves and stuff, but I didn't really mess
Did
around.
you like the idea?
The idea is cool, yeah. I just didn't. Maybe I'll go back and mess around with it. That would be cool.
Because I did go through the trouble of unlocking all of the moves for all the characters, and it was very frustrating because most of the moves were given to you randomly. You used the ticket mode was the most reliable way to get the moves for a character, and you increase your odds of getting a move for the character you're playing as, but it could still be any of the characters because obviously also they just randomly doled them out. And only 3 of them you could specifically get by completing challenges. And they were only locked behind those challenges. So also if you weren't good enough to do those challenges, I don't think they were too difficult though. You couldn't get those 3 moves. But I remember trying forever, getting all the moves. And I just kind of played with characters until I unlocked them all. And I remember the very last move that I unlocked was with Marth. The last one where I was missing one was Marth, and I completed it. And it took hours of just grinding out the thing until I finally got it as like a random drop reward. Because you could, I think it even started giving out duplicates towards the end. And I was like, why? Why would you do that? It's just that weird like slot machine gotcha system, and that's so weird with Japan. And so my experience with it, like the obtaining it sucked out all the fun. But then when I finally had them and I was experimenting with them, a lot of them were just kind of like minor reskins. Only a few characters actually got like a significantly different move. The Mii Fighters, of course, being the main, like that was their whole deal, was they're customizable. And Palutena was the only one where they advertised like, yes, every single alternate special move she has like a fully different special move. And for most of the other characters, it's all sort of like palette swaps. Now, some of them, like the properties would change super significantly or change in like in a really small way that made a huge difference and was just a bit better. It was interesting the way they did that. But if they did just actually go the full way and every character had like one alternate, like fully different alternate attack for up, down, left, right, neutral like attacks, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could like customize that like right on the screen, like where you're choosing your character. So like you can choose what attacks they have first before you fight.
I do it. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, that's all I had.
Yeah, I do have to actually walk myself back a little bit because I thought about it later after I did it all. And I realized, well, the way they did it was kind of just changing the properties a bit, which kind of went along with also the stat adjustments you could do to kind of tweak the character to feel more the way you want them to feel. Make a character stronger that was weaker, make a character faster, etc. And I just thought, you know what? I would much rather, and in all fighting games that I play, I much rather prefer having my character have one giant list of moves than having to choose between what moves I go into a match with, because certain situations, like, that's a move I might want to use this move, but I can't because I didn't select it. And it's like, ugh. So that kind of drives me crazy. So in that regard, I'm not a fan of alternate moves, but I agree with you on the point before with adding maybe one extra command throughout the roster to add an extra move.
Okay.
What else? Was there anything else you wanted to change? And, you know, modes too, not just gameplay or whatever, or features?
There was I want better single player story, similar to Brawl, but more challenging platforming. So I mean, obviously it still would focus on fighting, but I want to see some more like challenging platforming and like an interesting story. Yeah. Is
I think
something clicking?
Oh, that might be me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I think we're all in consensus on like the single player content could use some spicing up. But before I get into my thoughts, I want to make sure that you get your time.
And the other thing was the One Life Final Smash. So instead of, well, I haven't decided if I still want the Smash Ball, but when you're down to one life, kind of like in Mario Kart where you get that blue shell, you automatically get the smash attack when you're down to one life.
That sounds like a cool idea, or like it allows for a comeback factor. I know in like Marvel versus Capcom, they have like an X factor where like when you're lower on how. Well, you can choose when to use the X factor, basic, but it allows you to come back where you like for a temporary period of time you do more damage. So yeah, I do like that idea.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to add something like that. What do you think, Bert?
So they do kind of have that already in the bigger matches when you have Final Smash on, and it can be, I believe it works whether you're using meter or Smash Ball. But if you are in like a group match. It might even work in a one-on-one. I forget. I haven't played with Final Smash on in a while. It does do that. If you are significantly down, there is a chance that you will respawn and you will immediately have your Final Smash. It can't happen if someone else already has Final Smash in the game. I think with Smash Meter, that's an exception, though, because with Smash Meter, everyone can have their Final Smash Meter full, but they just can't activate them all at once. That everyone has to like activate it one at a time. But I know with Smash Ball, definitely there is that is already in the game as a feature, but it is semi-random as a chance.
Wait, how does that work? How do you activate it?
If you're losing in a match, like if you're down in points, if you have to have final smashes on, either the Smash Ball or Smash Meter.
Okay.
When you're significantly losing, like you said, you're on your last life, or you're like down a couple points and it's getting close to like the end of a match, whether that's stock or timed based on that context, there's a small chance that when you respawn, you will start with your final smash active, and you can activate it when you get, when you drop off the platform.
Even if you die with the final smash, or is it any character can get it?
Any character when you respawn, as you're respawning into the match.
So there's a chance that the other person could get it. The person who's already went.
No, it's like you already broke the Smash Ball. You would come in and you'd have your final smash ready to use.
Okay, I wasn't aware. I've never experienced this before.
Okay. I don't. I know you and me haven't really played with items on. I like final smashes a lot, but I do understand how some of them are way more kind of broken than others. But I like the Smash Meter over the Smash Ball because it's more controlled, and it is also neat, like the way the Smash Meter works, where if you lose like half your Smash Meter when you KO, so it's like you can't just immediately come back. Like, oh, I almost filled it up and they killed me, and now I come back and I have my full meter. It's unless it's like the losing condition. We can try testing that sometime if we play with like items and final smashes on it. I think you'll be able to see it. But like I said, it's not 100% guaranteed. It's just it's a comeback mechanic that's an extra chance.
Yeah, because I usually play with the Smash Balls on whenever I play Nate, and we never really experienced that. But maybe we just are not lucky, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and the chances are probably lower when it's like one-on-one and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you play like 4-man groups, it usually it increases the chances and stuff like that because there's bigger targets. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that is kind of in the game a little bit.
That was all I had.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of your guys' suggestions. So I've been thinking about this a lot because it is so disappointing to think about like the next Smash, like cutting down the roster. And so among all the other things I would like to see, if I really had to like one thing, like this is what I'd want next Smash. And people have talked about this before, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, is the next Smash Brothers being kind of like a games as service thing. It just comes with Nintendo Online. All the characters from Ultimate are already there, and they just infinitely keep adding DLC characters and stages and stuff like that, and just let it continue. I just don't think at this point there's any reason for them to really throw out what they have. And I understand over time, they want to touch things up or rebalancing the roster, or like we've discussed, like if we add any brand new features, like all new moves and stuff like that, like that's kind of like where I could see them drawing a line to reboot Smash Brothers and use that as an excuse. Well, we have to go back down a roster. At the same time, there could be, licensing deals. Some of the companies that own these, like Konami or Capcom or Square Enix or even Sega, might just say like, no, you know what? We don't really want to put our characters in here anymore. We're either going to do our own thing or we're just not interested in it. Even if it is like, selling like hotcakes and they're getting good royalties. Or Nintendo might even go like, you know what? It's just, we don't want to pay out all these extra royalties. We'll just we'll just use our characters. We're going to do more of our own characters and double down on that roster. Any one of these things could happen. So I would just love to see it kind of change to more of a games for service. I think they did an awesome job with the classic modes for Smash Ultimate. Did you guys like the classic modes, like the individual tracks per character?
Oh yeah, definitely. I like the bosses.
I think they definitely needed more bosses, and I totally agree with you that I like the bosses. I just wanted more diversity.
That's actually what I used to unlock all the characters. I went through classic mode and I played a little bit of adventure, but I used classic to unlock all the characters, and I enjoyed it. And the same thing with like you guys, the bosses.
I agree with you, Mike. The classic mode is definitely the most fun way to unlock all the characters for Ultimate, and it's super direct too with like the paths and stuff. It's a little confusing, but at the end of each track, you're guaranteed pretty much to unlock a new character as long as you haven't unlocked a character before. Yeah, I think they did a really good job there. They just needed to have a better diversity of bosses. And I would like to see sort of something that's random. Like there should be like one classic track that's random. So you pick a character and then it just, 8 random condition things that pop up. So it's always like the 8 and then you get a random boss at the end and stuff like that. That'd be a cool like final add, I think, for classic mode is they should have just like a random version as well. In the adventure mode, completely on board with you guys. That's one of those things where I think the platforming's neat, but it is true. Some of the characters platform way better than others, and getting that balance right for like 80 70 going on 80 characters can be really tricky. I think most of the characters are of most of the same capability, but I don't hate the events completely. I think as its own like individual mode, but not stretched into the story mode. I suppose if I was trying to think of like a compromise between what we're all asking for and what might be easier for them to develop, it'd be like, what if they had like mini skits? Like it'd be like these little mini adventures, kind of like the event mode that's in Wii U. But then when you beat like the event, you get like a little cutscene between like the characters that were mentioned there. So it'd be like these mini stories where we actually get some cutscenes and the characters would interact in funny ways. And we get like a little fight in between with different modes and goals and stuff. So maybe it's stamina, maybe it's coins, maybe it's finding an item or something like that. I think that might be like a compromise instead of one big, like massive overworld map and stuff like that. Although I do like the idea of like the different characters in the different stages, but we do kind of get that already.
I really like the event modes and like the Wii U version where they had all those little events that you could do. I thought that was a lot cooler than for the adventure mode. I don't think they need to do every single character. Like that's not what that's not necessary in my opinion. Even if they, returned with 80 plus characters, I think they could use a certain number of characters, whatever fits the story best. Like, they don't have to. I mean, I know it's a celebration of all Nintendo characters, but you don't have to make a good story by using every single character.
Yeah, but people would want them all in there because everyone would want to see, like, that's the silly thing. Like, what happens when Solid Snake meets Meta Knight? What happens when Link runs into Lucario? People just want to see these things happen, even if it means like nothing. That's where I was thinking like the mini skit thing I think would be better because then they could just mix a few characters together, have like a little arc, little storyline, like a cartoon short, and then you get that same satisfaction, but without having to craft one giant story that tries to make everything work.
You can just do a Super Smash movie, Super Smash Bros. Cartoon movie, animated movie.
That'd be neat if they did like a little animated series with Smash Brothers to kind of fill that in. But I think people would still be disappointed that it wasn't in the game,
Yeah, for sure. But I think wasn't there a reason why Sakurai didn't like include?
Yeah, there is, and it's well, in my opinion, it's super dumb. It's just a weird way of thinking because Sakurai's official reason why after Brawl's story mode he stopped trying to make super cinematic. He didn't want to make another super cinematic story mode for Smash Wii U and 3DS was because he intended the cutscenes and stuff to be the rewards for playing the adventure mode. So when he found out that people were just sharing all the videos online and just watching cutscenes there, rewatching it more realistically, he was like, that's not what I intended. That makes it completely worthless. So instead, I'm not going to do the cutscenes in the game. I'll just spend the cutscene budgets on the character trailers. And that's why all the character trailers now are like super big CG things.
Yeah, I don't understand that because I mean, in this day and age, I guess Nintendo they don't see they see things differently. I guess.
Exactly. It's just a different way he was thinking. It's kind of an artistic viewpoint thing, and in that way, I'm sympathetic. But at the same time, I think I disagree with him being upset about that. He should be happy that people they want to share it, and it probably convinced a bunch of people to go and buy the game because they found out, oh my god, there's this is what's in the game. Oh, that's so cool. So yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of old school thinking that ultimately isn't serving it. But the trailers are cool. The release trailers are cool, and I think maybe Sakurai's been listening to a lot of the feedback, and Nintendo will eventually take it over because Sakura's going to retire. He's going to get sick of doing the project at some point, and he might just take a much more backseat to it. And someone else will be able to go like, hey, well, people have been asking for this, so let's do it. I want to do this. I want to go nuts. But we'll see. I don't wish Sakura any ill will. It's just, I wish he was more understanding to some of these more modern concepts. Or, in Nintendo as a whole, there's certain things where it's like, yes, the Nintendo way of thinking is very good. It delivers on a lot of surprising and solid things, but there's just some parts where the Nintendo way is just not the most fun thing to do. It's not fun the way you think it's fun.
Antiquated.
Exactly.
Do you think Sakurai is like getting tired of making these?
I think it's absolutely exhausting for him, the way he comes off on some of the videos. I think he definitely loves the project. It just requires so much time. And he knows that, and he knows he pours himself into that work. And if you read some of the interviews, like, that's just the kind of person he is. He's kind of a workaholic when it comes to these things. And that's why these games are so good, because he cares so much, but he cares to his own detriment. And I think he doesn't want to have to deal with trying to top himself every single time.
I couldn't see Sakurai retiring, but definitely doing a new project or doing something different. But like you said, he's not the kind of guy that wants to stop working.
Yeah, and he's not like, he is working for Sora Limited, is his actual studio.
That's his company,
and Nintendo hires them.
So he owns the company.
It's like a side partnership. So he works directly with Nintendo, but he doesn't technically work at Nintendo.
But he owns Sakurai Unlimited or Limited.
Sora Unlimited.
Sora.
I don't know if he owns it. I don't
okay.
know if he owns it, but I believe it's like that, kind of like a partner relationship where they work really closely, but it's not actually owned by Nintendo. And I might be wrong about that as well. Sora might just be a sub studio. I forget exactly how it is, but I thought they had that degree of separation.
Wasn't he under Nintendo?
Yes.
With Kirby.
And I think that, yeah. And I think he did split then, because he did want to do other things. And he still makes Kirby games. I don't know, he keeps making Kirby games, and I think he loves making Kirby games. Like, I don't think he hates making Smash Brothers. I just think he knows it's really time consuming. And I think Kirby is his place where he really gets to experiment, and he gets to really have fun.
Yeah.
Because I guess the Kirby games sell pretty darn well, but at the same time, I don't know exactly how big they really are. So there is a diehard Kirby fan base out there. I just don't know how big that is, and so who knows if maybe that's the thing. He gets to keep making Kirby games as long as he keeps making Smash Brothers games.
So the next trailer, is it going to be like everyone's not here instead of everyone?
I'm sure it would be messaged more like a whole new Smash. You know what I'm saying?
Whole new world.
Yeah, exactly. It'd probably be something like that, selling we are remixing this, and there's things here that you really wanted, with the trade-off that there's fewer characters, but we have this, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, so I'd really like to just see them continue it on. If I was to just get more specific on okay, accepting they're just making a whole new installment, I'd like to see a mode where you could actually pick to enter a fight with some of the items. Now I know you can already kind of do that with the spirits and even in Wii U, the gear pieces. But I think the stat adjusting and stuff just is really not necessary. But the extra abilities and things are kind of neat. Although I don't think a lot of people end up really using those or playing with those too much. They're fun for some of the single player content, but in general, it just seems too much. And the stickers and stuff is all weird. I think using stickers is the new collectible. I get that they couldn't do the trophies anymore because we're making so many more trophies, which are all brand new 3D models for a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of work. But I don't know. I wish they could do something. I wish it was brand new artwork instead of just JPEGs we know from online for replacing stickers and trophies. Yeah, I'd like to see a mode where you could pick 3 items to stock up on your character, and you go in and you use them. And maybe there's certain rules, items are worth their value. So if you pick a star, it takes up all 3 slots. But you could pick 3 of the green shells or 3 of the star rods, or the super the super scope is worth 2 slots, and a mushroom's worth 1 or something like that. And that way you could control and pick your items to go in, and it'd still be a limited quantity, one use thing. And you could even change in the custom rules, like, oh, maybe you can use any of those items once per life, or once per life, because that would work for stock and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that'd be a very fun mode to kind of control items, control the chaos without completely sacrificing items. Because I know, like, we don't play with items that much, and I don't play with a lot of other people with items. I do like turning it on every once in a while when people are in the mood and just being like, yeah, it's just wacky, and we can just go and just mess around, and we have the items on, and then hazards and stuff, and just go wild and be like, this is just pure fun. Like, no one's trying to really win. It's just see what happens. It's kind of like the same Mario Party, Mario Kart mentality, where it's like, yeah, you kind of know what's going to happen is going to happen. It's just going to be crazy. But yeah, it'd be a good middle ground. You can just pick the items to go in with, and then you'd control when you'd use them. And I think that'd be neat. And maybe it's on the taunt buttons too. You just use it on the D-pad. You can't taunt till after you've used up your 3 items or something like that. So yeah, I could. I think that would be a cool mode. But yeah, I'd kind of shrink things down a bit. Like, I'd keep classic mode. I'd do the classic mode tracks, and then like a random mode, so that way you could pick a character, go in. It'd be 8 random stages with a random boss and things like that. More bosses, and that would be like the main single player mode for me.
So for this new mode that you're talking about, like, it has more customization. Is that what you're saying? It's more. I guess
It wouldn't. You wouldn't adjust stats. It'd just be like, how we have the items that appear randomly.
Yeah.
Instead, you'd have an alternate mode where you actually like pick 1, 2, or 3 items, and maybe they're different values, and that way you'd go into the fight and what items are on your character.
Like, you get these items to begin with. That's what you're saying.
At the start of the fight, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was confused. Like, I was like, I wasn't sure how that was different. I thought you were just like turning items off. Like,
yeah, like instead of being items randomly appearing and pick them up, you'd actually go into the fight with a set items on your character, and you just use them.
It's kind of like they have an adventure mode now, like something similar, don't they? Where you pick certain items that you have.
Yeah, sort of, because it's like the spirits, but the spirits also adjust your stats. Right. I would want to just get rid of the stat thing, and I want to get rid of the spirit connection. It's just like, no, you just go in and you pick your character, and then you pick 3 items, and those are like your 3 items.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And I know, like, or like a health item, like, oh, you pick the fairy bottle, or the what you call it, or how like the spirits work, like, you get 3 slots, but some are worth 2 and some are worth 3, so you can only like equip 1 or 2 spirits.
Yeah.
So I'd use that same value for the items based on how useful that item was perceived to be. So you couldn't go like crazy and be like, you couldn't stock 3 heart pieces to like be able to recover 300 health every time. You pick 1 heart piece and it'd be all 3 slots. But you could use it it one time whenever you wanted.
Okay. That would be cool, I think.
Yeah. And I think that kind of also goes along with like your idea of like the final smash more reliably coming back if you were losing as a comeback mechanic, or like Nate was saying about the X factor, but you could actually pick what your comeback mechanic is. So maybe it's the home run bat, and you just like you use the home run bat because that requires some skill. So maybe that'd be like 2 slots, So yeah, I think like that kind of stuff would be really interesting, kind of trimming things down and focusing on some higher quality for what few modes they have for the single player content. So like, yeah, the classic mode, and then like an events mode that was way more focused and had like skits and stuff with like little cutscenes for mini story arcs and stuff. I think that'd be like a good compromise for my perspective, if I couldn't get the game's surface version of Smash Brothers.
What if they just remaster Super Smash on 64 and that's it? That's the next Smash game.
That would be so wild. I think people would revolt. But that would be super wild.
I think they should remaster that game anyways, just for fun. I don't know.
I know there's a fan project online where there's like they're modding Super Smash Bros. 64 to like have the Melee characters in it, and it's like the old N64 level models.
Oh no, I wouldn't want that. I just want the same exact game, but with like remastered with like new graphics and stuff. And
I don't know. There is something novel about the N64 models. I think those would be also awesome alternate costumes where they make an N64 level model for every single character.
I mean, I guess
in Ultimate.
I guess you can do that right now. Like you just pick the characters from that game and play on the N64 stages. I guess then there's no point. Oh.
I meant they'd create new models also for all the new characters.
Oh.
Like I would buy that as a costume pack DLC.
Where you can use the pixelated, or not pixelated, but the original 3D models. Yeah, low res.
Low poly. Super low poly.
Yeah, that would be cool. And they have like
that'd be hilarious.
The melee versions and the brawl versions.
I think the N64 low poly is the most like visually striking, but there are some of those alternate costumes, like the Ocarina of Time Link is not an actual costume. The Twilight Princess version of Link is not a true costume, and we've talked about how the Skyward Sword's like Twilight Princess costume is actually really cheaply made.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like the N64 specifically models, like that would be something crazy for them to release, like a DLC where like here's one N64 costume for every single character, even all the characters that weren't in the N64 game. It would just look so funny to see that in Ultimate.
For sure.
But yeah, so yeah, that's about it. I mean, I could talk about this forever. There's all sorts of things, but for the most part, those are the basic things I'd ask for, or primary things, I should say, for the next Smash. And yeah, I hope whatever comes next for Smash Brothers is as least disappointing as possible.
I'm sure it won't be disappointing, but I also think it's years away. Like I don't think they have to finish the DLC for this one.
Yep.
So that's not going to finish for 2 more years, right?
I think they said by the end of 2022. So yeah.
Okay, so.
Or no, by the end of 2021.
2021.
So the rest of this year and the rest of next year.
So.
Which is still 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, so the soonest they could make a new game would be like 4 years after that. At least.
I mean, they could start development of the new ones sooner, depending on what their plans are. But yeah, I think we need to wait for another console to come out, whatever comes after Switch, before we start thinking about that.
What if this is it? Yeah,
I could totally see, well, actually, you mentioning that, I could totally see them waiting until this was all done and then doing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe on the next Switch or whatever the next console is, with all the DLC in it, and then maybe like 5 more new characters, you know?
Yeah.
That would be crazy. They do make a new classic mode for every single DLC character they do, so like that happens. So yeah, I could see Nintendo doing that, bundling it, because they know, and also we'll get an idea if they do a Mario Kart 9 on Switch.
I want Mario Kart 9.
I know you do. I know. It'd be cool. We'll see. Like this will give us an idea of what Nintendo wants to do. Right now, I think like Ultimate is what we're getting. I agree with you on that. It's not going to be till the next one, but I could also see, because this is 2 years of DLC with a ton of stuff, and I could see them doing like a super big deluxe version, especially since the Switch is still selling well. And then when they do the next one, like how do you top it? Well, let's just bundle all the DLC together and everyone can buy that instead of making a new game. And we'll do like, just a couple more new characters to kind of justify the package again for people who haven't bought it. So I could totally see that. But if they make a Mario Kart 9, then we know they're also like, let's just make a brand new thing.
Well, I mean, they also know that, I know there's going to be a lot of people that rebuy the game, but there's still going to be a substantial amount of people that are like, yeah, I have this game already. I'm not rebuying it. Like that's still.
I don't know, man.
I know. Well, I saw in one of my cousin's Switches that he had told me that he never would get Mario Kart for Switch because he had it for Wii U, and he had all the DLC and stuff. But I saw it recently, like that he had it on there. So I'm wondering if he like gave in and got it so that people were playing it on Switch. I don't know, but he always used to say that he wouldn't do that. Maybe he's just playing with friends. I don't know.
That's the thing. But think about it. Nintendo has resold their games to people for years, and people have bought the new digital versions, mainly because also they couldn't carry them over, but people did rebuy them. And it wasn't until now with Nintendo Online that they're offering the NES and SNES services through Nintendo Online. So the Nintendo fan base will just rebuy the games. Well, they just do it. So, Nate, you got any more thoughts before we close up for the night?
Not really. I think you guys mentioned everything that I thought of.
Okie doke. Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about Smash Bros, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So I want to thank you guys, Mike and Nate, for joining me today on this prototype episode of Option Menu Crew. And I do want to let our listeners know that Mike and Nate did do their own tier lists on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And we're going to include a link to that video in the description. Mike, did you want to plug your channel? I forget exactly what the name was of your channel.
Oh, if you just search Buffalo Mike M in YouTube, you'll find my channel. I have another technology channel that's linked through there. And yeah, thank you, Ryan. It's a good talk. That's all I have.
Yeah, it was definitely very fun and interesting to talk about Smash.
Yes, definitely. And I think we'll probably be getting together later on, once we see more of the season pack or character pass 2 for Smash Ultimate, and see what comes with all those new reveals, and if we get any other cool feature updates along the way besides characters. And yeah, Buffalo Mike M, I wanted to mention there. And like I said, we'll put the link to your video in the description to make it easier for people to find. So I hope you do go check that out and listen. And I hope you keep enjoying Super Smash Brothers in what other installment or version you choose to play. So thanks again, everyone, and take care until the next time.